So guys, thanks for joining me for the craft with me tonight. We are going to have a very relaxed crafting session, finishing up some French country journals. Again, they could be country, they could be farm, they could be many different things. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be working on tonight. Mine are just about done. I'm just kind of assembling, gluing the pockets in, stuffing them, and then we'll make some toppers and decorate at least one of the covers. I have 3 journals. So just kind of catching up on what else I need to do for the remaining 2 and finishing off the first one that I started. So that's kind of my plan. I do have a little announcement for the Craft with Me's on Fridays. They will be changing. I'm going to move the day permanently, but we are going to take a little break from Craft with Me's also, just because I know I'm going to be having a grandbaby very soon. And so just give us a little bit of time there to get that situated. And then we'll choose another day and move the crafting lives to another day going forward. But for now, today will be the last Friday Craft with Me session. As you all know, I'm going to be invoicing on Fridays going forward. Invoicing did not happen today because I had to do this. I just can't afford to lose a whole entire day anymore to craft, which is, I work during the morning part of the day and then throughout the afternoon, but then I have to get the stream up and I have to put the stream in Facebook. And that, while that doesn't take that much time, then you have to move all of the crafting stuff in this room because you had sale stuff in this room. And it's just, it ends up being, no matter how you try to do it, you might have to print something so that you can make something like pockets or the journal topper or whatever. It just ends up being the better part of a day, whereas I need that time to finish my work before I start playing. So for now, we're going to take a break from crafting lives. I will be doing tonight, and then going forward we'll just have a break until I pick a day and move it, just so I can get invoicing done on Fridays. That's the plan. So at this point you'll all be invoiced tomorrow on Saturday instead of today, but I'm doing my best to fit it all in. But we are going to take a break from crafting lives, and I'm not sure exactly what we'll do going forward. I just need that little bit of space to figure it out. First thing, most important thing is my work, and then after that I get to play. And while I do want to make journals, I don't have time to make journals. It's become very difficult. As you know, throughout the year, we've had journal kits come out and I've made the journal and pretty much got them done. It's just, they need assembled. They're all at the same stage. They just need me to sit down and stay in one place for a couple of hours just to like glue in pockets and put all the ephemera we made in the pockets, and then put closures on the journals or whatever that, embellishing, whatever it might be. All of the journals so far this year have gotten to the same point. And then because of time, I can't get them that last little 10% of the way done. And I'm just getting a little bit frustrated with that process too. So I need to find a better way of making it all work. And in the meantime, we don't have a journal kit right now for August. We were just finishing up July. So it's a good time to take that little break and figure things out and decide which day is going to work best and how we're going to do it moving forward. So that's what I'm doing. I'm glad that you guys could all join me for tonight, though. It's be the last Friday Craft with Me live. I have been doing Friday Craft with Me lives for years, so it is a little bit bittersweet to be like, okay, we're not going to do Friday Craft with Me lives anymore, but there still would be Craft with Me lives. I just don't know exactly which day and time, and we just need to figure that out. So anyway, a lot of people struggle finishing the journals, right? Because we can get them so far and then it becomes a real matter of time, right? Mostly it's making all the ephemera to fill the pockets. That's the most time consuming part of a journal, depending on how you make your ephemera. If you're one of the people who, you make a journal and you print off your tags and you print off your pockets and your journal cards, and you just, you're cutting them out, you're inking them, you're gluing them in. That's one way of making a journal. There's not a right or a wrong way, but making ephemera where you're cutting it, you're printing it, you're cutting it out, you're inking, you're gluing in, is very different than hand making every single piece of ephemera, layering it all up, collaging it, picking out focal points. Like, it's very different than a printing kind of ephemera making. And so for me, that is the longest part of making a journal. However, because I was doing 365 videos, I do have all of my ephemera made. By the time I get to the point where, you know, I'm gluing pockets in, or I'm putting ephemera in a journal, all of my ephemera is made at this point. But even having all the ephemera made, all the journals assembled, I still do not have the time to sit there and just get them glued in and finished. And so let's see, if I recount how many journals are over there waiting to be done. I have a Christmas one from last year that is, it's honestly, it is done. I just needed to do a couple little fussy bits with it, and then I would honestly consider that one done, like, completely. But that one, it has all the ephemera in, it's done, it has a closure. I think that one is like the closest to being done. It is also the oldest. Then I have 3 quilt cover journals, also from last year. They were made from a very old quilt. They were a kit from last year. Those ones, again, they're done, but I just want to fuss with them a little bit. I just want a little bit more time to, like, glue this here, and I want to flip through them all and make sure all the pages are embellished. And so those ones, Christmas and quilt ones, are all pretty much at the same point. Any other journal maker would have considered those done, sold them, and shipped them a long time ago. I just need a little bit time to fuss with it. Make sure everything is perfect. So those are last year's. And then this year, I know we have 3 blue, they have like a velvety material on the front cover. They're French blue journals. There's 3 of those. Again, all done. Just waiting. Like, I have the ephemera done. I have the pockets done, but they need glued together, filled, whatever. One of them I think is completely done. And then the other 2, they don't have any pockets or ephemera in them. It needs glued and stuck in there. Again, basically done. It just needs assembled. And then after the quilt ones, let's see, the blue ones. And then I have another series of quilt ones, which are the fairy ones. Those are done. Just, again, you got to stick the ephemera in the pockets and figure out a closure, call it good. And then what was after that? I'm missing a series, but there is another series. Oh, we had Italian ones. Those ones are done and finished and shipped. I don't know. There's something else in there. Some other French journal series. Oh, botanical ones. There's botanical ones in there too. So I have, like, including these French country ones, no less than 15 journals, all done, to the point where somebody just needs to sit and glue in the pockets and stuff the ephemera and put lace down the page edges and possibly put a topper on or something like that, but very, very close to being done. And I can't get them across the finish line because I never have time. So that's just kind of my life right now. I'm trying not to stress about it and just go with the flow. So while I would love to sit here and craft with you all every Friday or every Monday or whatever, I just don't have a whole day to devote to that. And that's what it takes to actually do it on camera. Now, if I was to sit down and do it without the cameras and all of that kind of stuff, obviously it would be shorter. But at the same time, then I feel like I'm cheating on you guys by doing it off camera. I'm sure you guys at this point are fine because it's been months since some of those journal series were worked on together. But it just feels like, I don't know, it feels like if I do it without the camera on and you guys with me, then I'm cheating on you and just finishing them off camera. I know that sounds stupid, but oh my gosh, my son is totally not, he jokes with me and he says at some point he may make journals when I die or something, and he has to find something to do with all this paper, but he has not been feeling good either. I went and got him a different series of antibiotics this morning because he still has the same thing with the same fever and the same everything else. But anyway, he's not making journals at this point. Eventually, maybe he will. But I just really want to do it. I want to do it the way I used to, where I could sit down and I could craft and there wasn't stress and there weren't hot camera lights and there wasn't a camera rolling and I didn't have to talk the whole time. I could literally just sit there and craft for the joy of crafting instead of crafting for making a video or some other purpose, right? Because, you know, I have to be here, I have to do it. It's a little different than when you just sit here and you just craft, right? So I think all creators kind of go through this, like people who make whatever kind of art they make, if they have decided to take that joy of making art and then start making YouTube videos or whatever, when maybe they're posting it on Instagram, maybe they're, putting it in Facebook, whatever, but they've now decided to take their art and make it more of a social media kind of experience. I'm sure all of those creators, I'm sure at one point or another, those creators were like, was that really a good idea? Because you have to, like, once you start a schedule, you kind of have to keep it, right? And then maybe that day you're not feeling that creative, but you have to keep your schedule, right? Maybe you really just want to sit down and work on one specific project, but that project, like maybe I want to make a topper for a journal and I know it's going to take me probably 2 hours. You guys don't want to sit here with me for 2 hours. I mean, some of you would happily, but others would be like, oh gosh, this is the worst craft with me ever. So anyway, thank you guys for that. For my son, I appreciate it. He will be okay. It's just same thing going on and he needs a different round of antibiotics. But the point of it is we just need a little break from craft with me's. I'm going to try to finish those journals up. If I feel like turning the camera on, I will, but I'm not putting any pressure on myself to do it at this point. I just need to get them done. And so if it feels better to me to just, if I wake up at 2 a.m. and I can't sleep, if it feels better to just go in there and work on them, then that's what I'm going to do, because I just need to get them done. That's kind of the point of it. So we're going to do that, take a little break, but for sure, no Friday craft with me's going forward, because I want to move the day no matter what. Because Friday needs to be for invoicing, because if I don't do it on Friday, then I lose my weekend. And I am trying to gain one day where I will be able to get my grandson, and hopefully that will be a Friday or something. I'm not sure yet, but I'm really trying to to get it all in there. And I keep piling new tasks onto myself, and it is getting to a point where I have to decide, are you going to craft and finish this journal that you really want to do? Or are you going to invoice people? Or are you going to answer all the emails and the message, or not emails, but the messages, the text messages, right? So it's choices. And for a little bit, I need to sacrifice not making those journals and just take a breather and get some things taken care of here. We're going to have grandbaby. That'll take a little bit of time, right? Because I need to be with my daughter for it. And, I'm sure helping out for the first, few days or week or whatever it is that they're home. So just, it's a good time to take that break. 20 minutes of 13 minutes of talking about it. But basically, we're going to take a break from Craft with Me's, but for sure, they will not be on Fridays going forward. I will let you guys know when I finally situate a day. I was thinking Mondays, and it might be Mondays. I just need to see how it works, because we've just changed invoicing and shipping also. So I just want to give myself that little bit of space to figure it out before I'm like, oh, we're doing it on this day. So that's where we're at with Craft with Me. We're going to get started today. The first task is, so basically this is very relaxed. There's going to be like very little teaching in this. I need to sew in 2 signatures because that's the stage I'm at, and I need to get that done. I need to glue in a bunch of pockets. So I need to refill my glue bottle. Very boring things. So while I'm doing that, we can chit chat back and forth. Like, obviously I can't hear you, but I can read your chat. So if you guys have crafting, like journal making related questions, you guys can type those in and I can try to help you guys out. There's always, and the reason why I say this is, the reason why I'm asking for your questions is there's always a bunch of posts in the Facebook group that are just questions. Normally it's okay to ask a question, but sometimes the question that is being asked, it's not really appropriate to post it in the Facebook group. Sometimes it's a question you were asking something specific about, are you going live today? Well, that's probably a question for you to text me and not to put in the Facebook group. Usually if I go live, I post it in the Facebook group. But anyway, there's just some questions where it's not really appropriate to post it in the Facebook group. But when we are live, sometimes it's easier to ask those questions, because typing an answer to how do you change the printer settings to this Y and X, Y, and Z and whatever, that's a very long-winded answer. And so if I'm live and we can talk about it, it's a little bit better of a platform to have that back and forth. And sometimes you guys ask questions where and not specifically you guys here, but sometimes there's a question posted in the Facebook group, and it's a question that's kind of loaded. Like, it's referencing something that we can't talk about, or I don't feel comfortable talking about in the Facebook group. But sometimes we can talk about it here because it's a little bit different of a platform, right? In the Facebook group, it's posted, everyone sees it. Here we can talk about it, we can chat about it, and then the chat is gone, the video is gone, whatever. So sometimes it's just a little bit better of a place to have those conversations. I didn't hear what happened. Hold on one second. Donna, no, I always do 3 journals at the same time. I will never do 1 journal at one time unless it's something that is very unique. I've always done it that way, and that is the way I would be very unhappy to just make 1 journal all by its lonesome. It needs friends. Okay, so I just can't make 1 single journal. It just doesn't, like, I just did when I made the 1 journal in an hour, but that was different. It was a very specific kind of like, I'm going to sit down and make a journal in an hour. But normally, if I'm making a themed journal, I just make 3. It's easier. It's the way my brain works. Um, it it's kind of like, I don't want to call myself an artist, but as a creative minded person, sometimes for me, my brain tells me what needs to happen, and I don't fight it. I just go with the flow. And I think that makes it a little easier for me to create that way. If I was sitting there and only had 1 of them, I think maybe I would feel a little bit more pressure because you only have 1. When you have 3, if you make 1, like you're making the first one and you're like, oh, I put this bucket here, but I really wish I would have put it back here. You have 2 more to put it back there. You know what I mean? So you can make little changes as you go. And I like the fact that the 3 journals aren't copycats. They're not exact 1 for 1. I usually do a little bit variation. Like, for this series, it obviously has lots of variation because we have French lady journals, we have French farm journals. I might do a recipe one if I wanted. Like, it just gives me a little bit more flexibility. And also, and I will tell you guys this, and I've told it to you before, if you are interested in making and selling journals, my advice to you is to not ever sit down and make 1 of anything. Because if you're sitting down and if you're trying to sell, I'm not talking about just creating, I'm talking about if you're trying to make something to sell, the time it takes you to gather the supplies and plan out and make 1, you really could make 3 in just a little bit more time. Obviously, it does take more time, but you already have all your supplies out. You already have everything planned. You have, if you finish 1 ahead of time, like if you just make that first one and then you're starting on the second and third, you already have 1 to sit there and go, okay, like I said, you don't like this topper, you wish you would have moved it here. Well, on the second and third one, you can. So the advice I'm giving you guys is, if you're making something to sell, maybe you're making tags and you want to sell tags in Etsy or whatever the case may be, make more than 1, because it's just, you already got the stuff out. You're already in the creative process. You might as well go with that and, make a little bit more product for that time that you've already invested in making 1. You could just make a couple more without a huge investment of time or money. Again, Usually the kits that I sell you guys have more supplies than probably what one journal will take anyway. So again, you could just make another one, make a little extra. Sometimes if I give you a fabric piece, you probably have a fabric piece that might go along with it. You could just simply make a second journal. So if that's what your, if that's what your goal is to sell journals, when you're making one journal, you will, so first of all, journal making, it's very hard to get paid for your time when you're making journals, right? You can't really charge people an hourly rate to make a journal because journal making takes so much time, right? So I think for the biggest bang for your buck for your time is to make more than one of something. And that way it's a little less costly on your time to sell 2 or 3 journals. That's kind of the way I go about it. But also creatively, I like having that option of, plus maybe have you ever made a journal and you loved it and you had to sell it, or you had already pre-sold it, or you were making it for someone, but when it was done, you loved it? Well, if you only made one and it's sold to someone, you don't have it anymore. But if you have 3 of them and you made them and you love them, you could keep one and then you could sell 2, right? So there's a lot of different reasons why 3 is a good number to do. I think people who do more than 3, they sacrifice the quality of the journal. I think 3 is like max because you could not possibly hand make and collage every little piece and sew around everything and ink around everything. You could not fill more than 3 journals with handmade ephemera without sacrificing some quality, right? And I've seen people do like a series of 12 journals. And if you look inside those 12 journals, they're very quick makes. They're very quick and simple pockets and very not decorated. They're pretty much naked, but they glued in a couple little things, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you like and that's what you want to do, fine. That's still nothing wrong with it. But doing more than 3, I don't think is a good idea. I think 3 is the cutoff. If you want to do a huge series, most people do them semi-naked or naked journals. And if you don't know what a naked journal is, it just means it doesn't have all the pockets. It doesn't have all the lacy frilly tags or whatever the case may be, right? It's just plain. It's a cover with pages in it, but it's not decorated. Naked just means that a cover, pages, no decorations. Sometimes people will put a little bit of decoration, but the decorations, like they'll call a pocket playing card stapled to a page. That's a pocket. Like they make very quick and simple ephemera. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying you have to sacrifice something somewhere to make 15 journals. It's just not possible to sit down and make 15 fully decorated, beautiful covers, 15 fully fluffed out signatures with all kinds of interesting pages, and then all the pockets to go in 15, and then all the handmade tags and ephemera and journal cards and all the other things, right? It's just not possible. It would take you a year, right? Most people take more than a month to build a journal. If you're making 15, it would take you more than a year to make 15 fully done journals, right? So I think 3 is a good number. 3 is just the perfect amount. Any more than that would stress me out. I wouldn't be able to do it. Okay, so again, that's just my opinion. You guys do whatever you want to do with the journal series. You can make 1, you can make 3, you can make 50 if you want. But I think if you try to make 50, you can post pictures in the Facebook group and let us all know how that went and how you felt. Did you feel happy at the end of making 50 of the journal, or did you feel like, yeah, 50 was probably too many? I think probably 50 is too many for most people. Okay, I am getting myself into a hole there. Let's go ahead and get started with the crafting portion of tonight before I dig myself another hole. So everyone has their own style, and I do try to show you guys my style. It's not the end all be all. Everyone has their own. So if there's somebody here that just made 24 journals, I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just saying I think it's very difficult to make that high of a number journal. Okay. Again, I can't even talk about it anymore. Let's get started with this so I need to fill a glue bottle and I need to sew in some signatures. So very basic things, which you all have already done a million times in your own crafting life, but that's where I'm at. I tried to get it done before I went live, ran out of time. I did sew around my journal signatures and assembled these sew around my covers and assembled these signatures. I think plain journals are awesome gifts because if you do a plain journal, so if you're trying to sell things like at a craft fair or maybe you have like a little antique store and they have a space where you can sell journals or something, wherever you're trying to sell journals, if you're trying to sell them to people who are walking up to you, so like selling them in person, um, plain journals are really a great option because a lot of people, first of all, they don't know what a junk journal is. And then, you can be there, you can explain, maybe you have a little card or a tag or whatever, but people are drawn to them because they look nice, right? They're interesting. They don't know what they are. They're drawn to them. They see them, but sometimes, if you have a price tag for a fully decorated, finished journal, your price tag is probably, a it's a good bit of money, right? Because it's a fully done journal. Those aren't very cheap, right? So a good option for people who aren't familiar with junk journals is a plain undecorated journal because it's an entry level price point. They're not paying for all those many hours of doing all the hard part of the ephemera, covers and stuff like that, covers in a signature, we could put that together fairly quickly, right? But if you're selling it at one of those walk-up fairs, a lot of people are interested in journals, but they may not want to spend $100 on one. But they might want to spend 20 or 25 on a naked one or something like that. And you guys know this is true. When you think about, oh, okay, this journal, this is basically a naked journal. It's not sewn together, but this is basically a naked journal. When you pick this journal up, if you aren't familiar with junk journal making, you pick this journal up and you're looking at it at a craft fair or whatever, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's cool. I would pay $25 for that. And then sure, I can go home and make some pockets and I can make some tags. And in their mind, they're thinking, yeah, that would be fun. It won't take that long. Sure, I can cut paper and put some pockets in there. But as we all know, that process of like putting all those pockets and filling them with stuff, that takes a really long time. So I think people buy a naked journal and they don't think that it's going to take that long to make it look like one where it's, completely decorated and has all the stuff in it. Like, I mean, this one's getting there. So I think naked journals is just an entry point, a low price point to get people in to making junk journals. Maybe it's a little easier because it's all sewn in for them. They don't have to stress about sewing in a signature. It's just a good idea if you're trying to sell in person to sell some naked journals, and then you can have some finished ones too. It's nice for them to see a finished one, but sometimes when you sell journals in person, if you have fully finished ones that you spent a lot of time and money and whatever on, as people flip through them, they tear pockets. May they I have been to many a craft, event thing where they're selling junk journals and people steal. They steal the whole journal. They'll steal stuff out of the journal. They're trying to get a tag out and it rips. And so stuff happens. So if you're selling fully decorated journals that you spend quite a bit of time and money and effort on, you might try to figure out a way of displaying them, maybe in one of those acrylic cubes where they're open and they can see it, but they can't touch it. Just some words of advice there, because I'll tell you, if 100 people are looking at, handling your journal, they're not familiar with junk journals. They don't know you got to be gentle with the pocket, or they might see something and not know how it opens. And so anyway, you might get your journal damaged, or you might not have a journal at all when you're done. That's the way it goes in this world, right? So anyway, I filled my glue. We're good to go. First things first, I'm going to sew the signature in, and I'm going to read your chat. So again, journals are used for many different things, and so some people, they don't need a fully decorated journal. That's another point too. Maybe they just want to keep track of a simple trip, like a weekend trip, or they want to keep, maybe they want to keep quotes or something very personal, or, you know, something different, and they don't want all the decorated tags and whatever in there. So it's a good idea to sell the naked journals, because it does appeal to a very wide set of audience. And once you've decorated everything, it's pretty much down to that exact theme. So there's a couple little thoughts on that. Okay, so did I miss any questions? Well, you saw how I filled it. I have to wipe the, I should have wiped the inside of the cap too, but I didn't. But I have to wipe off both the bottle that I filled it with. So like, that's okay. It's not super messy in there, but sometimes it's all squeezed everywhere in the threads. So as long as it's not in the threads, I think I'm good. But usually I wipe off the whole, both top and bottom of this, and both top and bottom of the big fill bottle with a baby wipe, just to keep them from sticking permanently, and me not being able to open and refill my glue, from it making a mess, whatever the case may be. Okay. Let's see here. Love the Italian paper. I'm super happy. So I trimmed down some pages in the Tim Holtz cutter, and it was very unfriendly to me. And then I cursed at it a little bit. Said that I am done using it for like the 100th time. I need to get the big green one out. I have not done so yet, but I do need to. Okay, so I sewed around both of my other covers. I was about ready to sew this in upside down. I sewed around both of my other covers. I have 2 signatures made. I am going to attempt to quickly sew these in while we are chit-chatting. Let me go through this signature quick, because it has been disassembled and reassembled several times. I think we're good. I have one that is very farmhouse with animals, and I have one that is more the French patriotic lady. I think we're good. We can do it. Okay. So I'm gonna get these 2 sewn in quick. If you have questions, type it in. It's just general chat, questions about junk journaling, that kind of a thing. Just try to center my pages in here. So my covers were made during, I think, the last craft with me. I made 2 covers maybe, and then I already had 1 cover made, the first cover. This music page is sticking out, and it's kind of off where I want it to be. I want it to be there. Okay, so I made covers. It's all on video. If this is your first time here, the whole entire journal is made on video in previous little craft with me's. They're on my channel under the live section, and that's how I constructed the cover, all that kind of stuff. So all of that is out there. Show the base of the cover if I have any handy. The base of the cover is a piece of 9x12 watercolor cardstock. It's right here. This is the base of my cover. It's just 9x12 watercolor cardstock. It's like the thickest I could find, about 320 or something. I don't know. That's the base. It's possible that it's rag paper, but in my opinion, it would be rare for it to be. Is it American or is it French? So they still make rag paper today. Like if you go in the art and craft store, the art store, whatever you want to call it, they have books of rag paper for artists. It's where the watercolor paper is sold. You know, it depends on how big your craft store is, but they do still make and sell rag paper. However, it is very different than antique rag paper. Antique rag paper, you know, it's from recycled rags. So what they make today is more of a made overseas. It's a cotton rag paper. It's very white and fibrous, but it's not anything like what old rag paper is. So When you bought the journal kit, I did include whatever ephemera digitals that you guys have seen me use thus far, but I did not get any further digitals done or listed in my Etsy. So there are no additional digitals in Etsy at this point. Will I put them in there eventually? Probably. But again, it's one of those things where I'm having trouble finding time to sit there and make digitals. So once I get a little bit caught up here, I can work on that, but I didn't have time. As you see, I didn't even have time to bind my journals or any other thing that I needed to do. I didn't have time to glue pockets in that one. So at this point, there isn't, you're not missing anything. Like, I didn't craft with anything, I didn't make anything that I don't have available to you. Will I at some point? Possibly. You're just gonna have to bear with me as I've given when you bought the kit, you got whatever digitals I've used. As far as, there's always freebies in there of like some decorative elements, some pocket ideas, that kind of stuff. Then the actual pages that I've used in these journals, those are digitals in my Etsy, but I did not prepare the additional ephemera digital. I mean to. I mean, obviously it'd be a good idea for me to do it, right? But I just can't get her done. It doesn't matter how much time I have at this point. I'm so overscheduled. I can't get it done. And so I have not crafted anything with those digitals because I didn't want to make you guys mad about it. Right? I didn't want to make you guys feel like, oh, she's using that for herself, but she's not giving it to us, kind of a situation, right? So for now, I'm just crafting with what everyone was given in their kit or is available in Etsy already. And only the pages, I think, were the thing I put in Etsy. Just widening these holes just because I'm going through a couple layers of fabric and all that kind of stuff. All right, so am I going to do 365s again? I sure am. Again, just as soon as I have time to do it, I will. Normally, I film those on Sunday. I'm hoping to spend all Sunday, all this Sunday doing it. So we should. I meant to do it, but I also am behind. So again, I got to get my work done before I can play and do that kind of stuff, right? It's important to me. I'm not giving up on it. I'm just saying, time-wise, if I can't get it done on Sunday, Sunday is my only option to do it. I don't have any other time. It's not like I could just, oh, I'm going to bring all my craft stuff in here and I'm going to print all my digitals and I'm going to plan it all out and have an original idea in 15 minutes every morning for you guys. It doesn't happen that way. So Sunday, if I can't get it done, then there will not be videos that week. I have tried to give myself permission to basically get my work done prior to making digitals or prior to doing 365s. There's over 150 videos out there that are free, basically 150 something ephemera ideas that are all different, all I don't want to say like original, but they're all different. They're not the same. Here's a pocket. It's not just me crafting. It's 150 ideas of ephemera to make for a junk journal. And those are already out there. And very few people, I'm sure, have watched every single one. If you have watched every single one, thank you for that. But there's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of past lives that you guys can watch, where I was making journals, and I'm sewing the signature in, and unfortunately I have to be able to look at it, but that's what I'm doing. So there's a lot of content. There's lives under the live section. I mean, lives from years ago, really, under the live section. And then 150, I don't know, 7 or something is where we ended up for the moment. I'm not positive because I stopped numbering them at the last little bit there. But there's so much content out there. So many ways of watching and getting ideas and getting inspiration. And then if there isn't enough content on my YouTube channel, there is definitely enough inspiration in the Facebook group. So again, there is a lot out there. I know some people have watched all of them. I would love to have that much time to watch them all. And some of you are just very dedicated and loyal, and I appreciate that very much. I do. It just cracks me up though, because like some of them are very long videos. Most of them are short, but some of them are very long. And so for those of you who have watched every single one, maybe you fast forward, I don't know, but some of them are like, I don't know, a 2-hour long video, a live. I don't know. The crafting lives are usually 3 hours. Okay, so there's that guy. Let's do this one quick. Have I missed a question? I try to look, but sewing in signature. Yeah, it's time to sew them in. So I'm going to try lining this one up where I want it. Let's just flip through and make sure nothing is upside down or backwards or slid too far. Even if it is at this point, it's okay. I know have music sticking out the top. That's okay. We're leaving that for the moment. We're good there. Can't get the silver color tip to fit on your glue bottle. Which glue bottle? The art glitter one and the tip that comes with it? You have to physically screw it into the black plastic. If I remember right. It's been a long time. Like I've been using like this, you can see it's disgusting. I've been using it for a long time. But my little, if you're talking about this bottle, my little silver tip, you just screw it onto the black plastic part that's there. I could show you here in a minute without the cap on it. Yes, just making sure we're right side up. The floral pattern is very, the pattern on the fabric, it's really forgiving anyway, kind of non-directional. Trying to look and not have you see my top of my head. Not that you really need to see this part anyway. Okay. Tattoos? Yep, screw it on the black plastic. But maybe she's talking about the Sugar Bell or one of those other bottles. I don't use the Sugar Bells, so somebody here might, and they might be able to help you depending on whatever glue bottle you use. So I'm widening these holes, and the reason why I can do that and get away with it is because I'm putting lace down the spine anyway. Otherwise, you wouldn't want to widen them, and they're not getting too big or anything like that. But it does help quite a bit, especially with the 5-hole stitch. Gives me a little bit more room to get in and out. Okay. What's my thought on people who decorate the pages and then sew it in? My thought is you do you. If that's the way that your brain works and you create that way, then you do it. The only way I would not sew my signature together before I started working in my journal is if I knew that I wanted to do like sprays or stamps or gesso or texture paste or some other mixed media element where I would need to pull out one single page out of my signature and go work on it and then put it back in. If I was doing any type of mixed media work or something like that, I would do it and then bind my signature and then decorate. I like to have my book bound right off the bat, and then working it that way. But if you work the other way where you like to decorate all your pages and then sew it together, that's perfectly fine. But in my opinion, it is far easier to sew in a signature like this, where it's not all ginormous and fat and fluffy and everything wants to move more when you've got it all decorated. Right now, the pages are pretty flat because they don't have any pockets on them. So I think it's far easier to bind a journal before you decorate. I don't really sew on my pages. If you sew on your pages, obviously you'd want to sew those before you sewed your journal together. I mean, you don't have to. Sometimes they'll fit in a sewing machine, but I think you'll be happier if you just do all your sewing and that kind of work, and then before you put, thick elements in, go ahead and sew your signature in. But everybody creates differently. It's okay. It's not a right or a wrong situation. You just have to go with the flow, right? And there might be a time where I'm making a specific journal, and that journal might tell my little brain, hey, we don't want to be bound yet. And so maybe I won't do it. I don't know. Not that things really talk to me, but you know what I mean. I just do what I feel at the moment. There really isn't a for sure. See, I need it over here. I can't do it where you guys can see it. I got to do it where I can see it. All right. Here we go. Much better. So, yeah, stamping and stenciling, all that kind of stuff, way easier before you bind it, for sure. I don't do a lot of that in my journals, and if I did, I would certainly do it before I sewed in my signature. For the most part, like it's easy enough, I think, to stamp on a page, before you've got pockets and stuff in. I need to line these back up one more time. I think it's easy enough to stamp. I could stencil a little bit with a stencil brush. That kind of stuff doesn't bother me. But it's the big texture paste and stuff like that, like where something might get wet and ruined. I would definitely want to do that kind of work and then sew it in. All right. Behave now. No moving. Much better. No moving on me. My little tail string is getting shorter and shorter. Anyway, I love making journals. I think it's fun. I think it's a hobby that anyone can do and anyone can be successful at. And, like we see journals and sometimes they all look the same, and mine probably look like somebody else's and whatever. That's all good. But sometimes you guys see them and you'll see something that's very unique and very different. Maybe something that we didn't ever think about, of doing. And maybe it's not even our style. It's something way out there different. But to me, I really like the originality of some of them. So, a lot of people they find a maker and they try to make exactly the same thing that, that maker makes, and exactly the same style and whatever. And I think probably everyone kind of starts out that way, but eventually we come upon, some inspiration somewhere, maybe a Facebook group post or Instagram or wherever you're looking, right? And you'll see a journal that somebody made, and it is just very different than the journals that we are used to seeing. Somebody's really got a different way of decorating, or, they've done a lacy French one, but they've really, done something, I can't even imagine, but something different. And while it still, it might be too frilly for me, it might be too lacy for me or for my taste, but I still enjoy looking at it. I still enjoy seeing all the different styles and all the different makers and how each one of the makers kind of develops their own style over time too. And so I think, as you guys are out there scrolling, if you see something and you're like, your first inclination is, whoa, that's okay. Let's just be honest. Sometimes you see something and you're like, that's ugly or whatever. I would just encourage you to just look at it a little bit more. Just look at it a little bit more before you scroll on, and try to look at it and see one thing that you do like about it. see, do you like the color combination they used? Do you maybe like the placement of something that they did? Find one thing that you do like about whatever it is that your initial reaction was, ooh, that's ugly. And then leave them a comment and say that one nice thing that you can think of, if that's all that you can think of, right? I mean, I know you guys are all kind, but it's very easy to just scroll through social media and be like, I like this, I don't like that, very kind of black and white. But when I find a post that's really out there, I really try to look at it and analyze it and be like, okay, well, this person has a very different style than me. And I might think it's ugly, but I'm still not going to ever say anything like that or whatever. I'm going to try to find one thing that I do like about it. And I'm going to try to leave that person that nice comment about, hey, I loved the way that you mixed the green with the red and it didn't turn into brown and it's lovely and it's beautiful and whatever. Like, I'll try to find something. But I also look at those posts and I try to think about, what can you learn from this? Even though you might not like it and the initial reaction is you don't like it, right? But try to find something you can learn. Try to find that one thing that you do like, and then maybe apply it to what you make in your style, like your color palette, your way of arranging. Maybe they did all steampunk, but you do all frilly lace butterflies or something. I don't know. But try to learn. Don't just scroll on by and be like, ooh, that's ugly. Leave a nice comment, find something nice to say about it, leave a nice comment, but then look at it a little bit longer and try to analyze it and learn from it. Okay. You think you would love slow stitching? I think slow stitching is amazing, but it's one of those things that takes a long time. And I think for me, if I wasn't working, like if I wasn't doing all of the other things I'm doing, I would sit there because I have a whole cart that is just for slow stitching. Um, It has all the stuff in it. It's just for slow stitching. And it's a little rolly cart. And I used to roll it up next to my chair before I was doing like mass live sales and all that kind of stuff. I used to roll it up next to my I have a recliner in front of the fireplace. I would roll it up next to my recliner. And in the evenings, that's what I would sit there and do, is I would embroider or slow stitch or whatever. And sometimes it was for journal covers and journal things. And sometimes it was just embroidery, right? And I really like doing that, but that's something where in my mind, for me, I have to be in that quiet frame of mind, that quiet mood to just sit in front of a fireplace and just do some stitching. There's no TV on, there's no anything else, just like that's just relaxing time, I guess. Occasionally I will turn the TV on while I do it. But anyway, it's been a long time since I was in that frame of mind because it takes a long time. It's that peaceful, quiet, repetitive stitching. It's kind of like meditation. If you like that kind of, stitching, it can be very meditative and I don't know, helpful to kind of quiet the mind. But I have to be in the mood to do it and I have to have the time to do it. That's right, Sandy. It helps me too to kind of overanalyze it. I know. Sometimes overanalyzing is bad, but sometimes it can be good because you're learning from it, right? So, okay, let's glue these pockets and things in here. I did not move anything. I got those 2 sewn in, so we now have 3 journals, but let's glue these pockets in while we're looking at chat. Yes. If you just try to find that one nice thing, you will probably learn something while looking for it. The initial reaction might be yuck, but just that little bit that you do like will kind of open up a little bit of creative space in your own brain and you're like, oh, but I could maybe maybe your mindset is you would change it. You would do this, and this different. That little creative thought process opens up your brain to a little bit more creativity because you're thinking about what you would do, the steps you would do, maybe to fix it or correct it or to make it your color palette or to arrange it the way you like or to use the type of theme or ephemera or period of style that you like. So I think it's helpful in your mind. Okay. A travel kit. I would love it if I had downtime. I do not have downtime. Oh, yes. Yep. No crafting while driving. Yeah. Did we glue pockets in? I think we did glue them in. Okay, we glued them. So this one is done. It needs final decorations, embellishments, and it needs the cover decorated. I'm going to put pockets in these ones. I think we even, did we stuff them? Did we stuff them? Did we stuff, I didn't glue this in. Did we stuff pockets in this one? We did not stuff pockets. So let's glue the rest of the pockets in, and then we'll stuff all three, and then let's make some toppers today. I know that's kind of a tall order, but let's try to make some toppers today. After I sew them in, they're like super fluffy. I don't know. They need squished down. Let's glue the rest of this stuff in. So which one do I have here? They are very similar at this stage, but different pages, different order of pages, different other little add-ins in here. This one is the lady one. So this one is the farm one. The farm one starts out with the sheep in the front. The other lady one starts out with the same pages. I have two lady ones and one farm one. So this guy, I want this in the farm one. I know I want that in the farm one. Let's make two piles. Let's make farm and lady. There's lady. Maybe this was supposed to go in this journal. This I found laying somewhere and I didn't know where it came from. Was it supposed to go right here? I kind of think it was supposed to go right there. One of these pockets was supposed to go right here. It was either this one or this one. Or this one. And I don't like the pink one. Okay, so we're going to put this pocket in here. There we go. Now I've got this journal here. This one is going to get this pocket. I love how this red and blue fabric looks with this. That's very nice. So that's going to go there. The farm one is going to get this one right there. That looks nice. I've got some pink flowers. Okay, so first pocket is in there. Let's see what else we can find. This is just a general pocket that goes somewhere. It doesn't really have a specific thing. This pink little pocket, we have another one of those somewhere. We have a pink and a purple one. Let's try to find a place for pink and purple pocket. I should just let's just do it blind. Let's do it blind. So we're going to go 1, 2. These are all other elements that we didn't put in the first journals. 1, 1, 2. That was a little less blind. 1, 2. And then we've got some belly bands. These need decorations and that kind of taken out, but that's what all of this little stuff is for. 1, 2. And then we've got 1, 2. And then this is the tag for back here. We've got, I'm going to go 1, 2. This is 1, 2. These are the same, 1, 2. And it really doesn't matter, 1, 2. Okay, so all of this goes in the lady journal right there. They're too fluffy for me. Usually I open them up or rubber band them and get them to kind of like start staying into journal shape. But anyway, we've sorted our ephemera and I did it blind. I didn't go page by page and look at it. I'm just piling it in there for now. And the fussier one is probably the farm one. So let's be fussy with the farm one. All right, we're going to glue, and I'm going to go ahead and glue, since I've sewn around this, I'm going to go ahead and glue in the front pocket. Normally, I don't glue in the front and back pocket until I'm a little bit further along. They are inked, so Let's do it. So we'll have 3 journals with all the pockets in, or at least a lot of the pockets. The farm one I do intend on making more ephemera for. I am using Fabri-Tac on this pocket because it's going over, well, it has a little fabric on the cover. I'm not sure if it's actually going to get in there or not, but we're using Fabri-Tac for this. And I put quite a lot there, so we're going to give that a moment. There it is. I don't plan on using Fabri-Tac. Actually, I will. It's going on fabric here. It's going on fabric across the bottom here and probably there. So let's go ahead and glue in this guy too. So this is going to be on as a pocket. It's an exploding envelope thing that opens up with a bunch of different envelopes. It's going to go in the back of the journal here, but a pocket this way. So I'm just going to glue 3 sides of it. Again, if you want to ask me a question or you're talking to me, make sure that you guys are using caps so I know who's talking to me. It's just easier for me to pick it out of chat since chat is to my right. And I don't need a giant pocket here, so if some of this glue spreads, that's okay. And this one I am going to stick down. Let's stick it where it goes, right there. Playlist on how to make that pocket. No, I don't have a playlist on how to make the pocket, but the pocket is in the 365 playlist. I think it's called Exploding Envelope, and it's one of the latest videos. The stuff that I've made here is all in 365 videos, I believe. And this is the last, I'm still working in this journal series, so it's the last videos on the channel. There are miscellaneous other videos mixed in of different ephemera, but this is all stuff that I've made and it's all on the channel. When it's dry and it's stuck on here, I will open it up and show you. If you want, we need to make some journal cards for in here and we need to decorate this the rest of the way. The pocket part is done, so I went ahead and glued it in. Now that this has had a moment, let's try to stick it in. I'm going to slide it over. I don't want things too close to the, the center here, the signature. So the bottom definitely got fabric. The right definitely got fabric. The left is still on paper. Okay, so there's front and back pockets there. We need to decide where the rest of this is going. So I don't need, I mean, we could stick something here. It could have a pocket right there. I don't know yet. I mean, it's got a nice place for one. That is a pocket. This is a fold out. I don't stick stuff to copy dyed. Fold out. That's onion skin. That's a pocket. Got to find a place that, look at how lovely that is. I love this little spread right here. So cute. See what I mean? Like, you know, if I only made one and I really wanted to keep it, like, it'd be hard to sell it. But if I make 3, I can keep one. I haven't never done that yet, but you could, in theory, keep one if you make 3. This could go here, but it's ledger on ledger. Doesn't really do anything for me. You could have a belly band on the back of there. It would be all right to have that belly band right there. I can see we do need some pockets. And for the farm one, I knew we were going to need extra pockets because I want them to be like, there's cows on it. There's a sheep. There's whatever, like farm animals on there. So I know we're going to make some more. I could stick this here. Let's just leave it there for a moment. This is going to have a little add in there. And we're right here. I think that looks lovely together. It's a lot of blue, but I think it looks lovely together. This is going the opposite direction, so it cannot go there. And I don't want to cover that up. You could write a little journal on there. So let's stick this one here. Again, need to make a little ephemera. No big deal. We've got a little competing pattern situation going there. That was not ideal, but it's not hideous. It works. We're going to leave it. But I may want to stick this little pocket on there. Do I want to stick this little pocket down there? And then we'll kind of cover up a little bit of this blue here with a tag. Let's do that. There's this though. Let's leave that and let's stick this here. I like that better. Then I've got my rooster in the center on this one. I think it's a rooster. I don't know what's a rooster and what's a hen. I mean, I know there is a difference, obviously, but I don't know. I didn't grow up on a farm. I have no clue about farm things. Let's just move on from that conversation. And I've got a little pocket and a wrap around the page. There's a pocket there. Let's wrap this guy around this page. Right there. Okay. He's a little flip out folio situation. He's got pockets all over inside of him. He just paper clips on and then he's got ephemera stuck in him. I like that. This is kind of plain right here. I've got another wraparound pocket that could go right here. It clips on there. I think it's meant to go this way actually, which would be a little bit upside down. I don't know. We're going to have to play with that guy. He doesn't go on there. Maybe this one goes here. It's not bad. It's got some blue in it. It's got some light colors. We're going to put that one there. I'm okay with that. Although I think it would look better here. Well, only one side of the page can have a pocket. So I think it's going there. I still have one large wraparound page. And I have like a edge embellishment. That could go there, but let's see if I can find a better place. And then we need to make more ephemera for this one because it's the farm one. Again, I'm loving my botanicals with my botanicals. This is also open as a pocket now. Not too many places that really need something. Like I could do that there. It's a little busy, but I could do it there. Let's plan on that there. And then let's put this wrap around on one of these pages. Let me see how I can make this work. He's got pockets and he's got pockets. Kind of. These I found out are much better to work with when you don't have directional paper. He's going to butt up against that though because this is a short page. I'm going to try to leave this one here. I'm going to try. I might move it, but let's leave it there for now. And then I've got this pocket situation that we need to find a home for. That's all the pre-made ephemera for this journal. We need to make more because it's the farm one. I don't know if I want that there, but it could go on the edge of that bag. Let's leave it there for now. So there's that guy for the moment. Okay, so there's that guy situated. Now we have this one. We can go ahead and glue these in. This one's going to go there while I've got the glue open. Can I ask why I just put the pocket on one side of the page? Well, it's just better to spread out your ephemera throughout your journal, number one. Number two, your pages, you know, it's not just pockets that you're putting there, right? You're going to put ephemera in the pockets. And your pockets and pages with ephemera, whatever, your pages can get kind of thick and heavy. And if you've got, I cannot get glue on this one right now. it's going to get too heavy in my opinion. Plus it is better to spread out your ephemera. If it's your personal journal and you want to stick a pocket on both sides, I mean, there's not a rule that says you can't, but in general, if you're making a journal, you want to spread that ephemera throughout it so it's nice and, there's not a section with 0 ephemera and then a section with tons of ephemera. But also, if you put a pocket, tags, journal cards, and then you have another page over here on the backside and you've got pockets, tags, journal cards, that page is going to get super heavy and it's possible that it could start to tear where you've sewn it in. So if it's really light, and you want to do it, go for it. In my opinion, I think I would rather find a different spot to put the pocket. Like you could put one on one side and then find a different page to put it. The other one. I don't know. I'm talking in circles today. You get the point. Spread out your ephemera and don't make your pages too heavy. Lots of people wax their own thread. I personally think the stuff that we get off of Amazon is perfectly fine for making junk journals. I like the waxed thread that comes from Amazon better than thread that I would find at the store, which probably also is made in China. So I don't know that we make thread, or maybe we make thread for sewing, but I don't know that we do. I don't think we have any thread or string factories in America anymore. But I like the stuff I get from Amazon. I haven't had a problem with it. But you could wax your own. I have a little thing that I drag thread through when I'm sewing, the end of it, so you can get it through the eye of the needle. It's like a little bit of beeswax in a plastic container, and it has a little slit in it where you drag your thread through it. I don't know what those are called. Somebody who actually sews would probably know, but those are available to drag your thread through. Okay, so this one's going here. I love the way this all looks together. That's gorgeous. It's a whole lot of red and blue. And I love the fact that we get some of the browns here and some of the browns here and some of the brown in the fabric. Perfect. Love it. Okay, so this opens, and opens. We will have a decorative big, I have it already picked out. I don't know where it went, but there's a big German scrap piece that goes here with a little more decoration. And then there will be 4 tags or journal cards or whatever in each one of these pockets. We will also decorate each one of the flaps. So yeah, I have a little bit of decorating to do. But this one, it's a French general theme. So anything French will be good in this journal. The other one is farm, and it really does need the focal points that I included with your kit. The reason why I made sure I included focal points is because if you were doing the French farm, there isn't a whole lot of French farm like fussy cuts or focal points out there. So I made sure that I gave you guys some so that you would have something, that went with the theme. But I made 1 farm and 2 ladies, or I'm calling them lady journals, but they're not really lady journals. I want that string in there. Okie doke. I mean, if I can't get to the finishing line of journals, I'm going to be in trouble. Because come Christmas time, there are some people that are on a list to get a journal. And I really need to finish some journals. Thread magic. I like the little plastic thing though, because I live in Arizona and I worried about it like just melting and sticking in my drawer. So I like the one that comes in a little plastic holder. It's very small, but again, I think it's just for sewing thread, like hand sewing. I don't like it. I don't like embroidery thread or crochet thread. I don't like that for sewing in a journal. And I'll tell you why. Because it is not as strong as linen thread that has a wax coating on it. I have seen many journals in person. I have seen many journals that are sewn together with embroidery thread, and I think it's because it's very commonly available and people can get it in whatever color. And so I have seen them, and without fail, if they're being handled a little bit, that embroidery thread without fail is looser than the wax linen ones. If you ever go to a craft show where it's like journal or paper craft related, and they have a bunch of journals for you to look at the way that they're bound and see which ones are looser. Now, some of it might be technique or the individual person's style or whatever, but I've actually went and I've looked like long time ago when I was first getting into it and trying to figure stuff out. I was like, oh, these ones are looser, these ones are tauter. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion though. Like I don't want to spend all the time making a journal and then have it be loose and have to like take everything out and start all over and sew it in again. It's not impossible to do. I just don't want to do it because I think, like, how can you get everything sewn back in exactly right if you have to redo it, that kind of thing. It's not ideal to have this fold this way, and we already have a fold out here. I may be tearing this little piece of music off right here, but for now he is staying there. I think he's going to get torn off. This page, I really like a pocket to cover up this blue stuff. I don't really want to stick her on there. You could stick this here. That could go there, but it does cover up a lot of the page. This one could go here. Doesn't quite cover up all of it. Don't want to start out with the belly band in the front. I could start out with something simple like that. I think we're going to put this one here. Of all of the ones I just auditioned, this one was my favorite. So we're going to stick that one there. Beeswax lasts forever. As long as it doesn't melt, right? Or does it not melt? Are you saying beeswax doesn't melt? Because that would be good to know for me. I am paranoid about waxes melting in this house. I'm very paranoid. Arizona, I don't know how hot it is right now, but it was like 115 yesterday. So I'm pretty sure it's still very hot out there. Do we want to go red and blue? I kind of like it. I'm really enjoying mixing the red and blue patterns. And the other reason why I really love this like red, white, and blue kind of journal series is the red and the blue, like the bold blue colors, we don't use those very much in journal making. We tend to gravitate like to lots of pastel stuff can get used, neutral color stuff can get used. But if you've ever bought like a Tim Holtz pack of ephemera, there's always red and blue stuff in there because he usually does like the whole color palette. And so I find in my little ephemera drawers where I've got all the little bits and pieces from ephemera packs, Tim Holtz packs, whatever, I don't use red and blue stuff very often. So there is a whole drawer in the other room that I need to go through and pull out all the little red and blue stuff that I'm never going to use in another journal and put it in these journals. So red and blue, this is a great way of using it because honestly, where else are you going to use bright red other than Christmas? And some of it's not Christmas themed, right? It doesn't look Christmassy. I'm going to put that one there. I think. I mean, the only other one I have is this one, and I don't know. This one is better. I'm going to put this one here. Okay, so there's that. I think it's a good way to use up that red, white, red and blue things. I mean, we can always use the neutral color, the white color, but I think it's a good way of using the red and blue things. Got some coffee dyed goodness going on there. This could use something on the back. This is cut open for a pocket now. Oh, it is a pocket. Okay. I don't want to do lady and lady. We'll leave that for now. This one, I don't want to cover that up. I usually like to put a pocket down here. What if we put one like that? That looks pretty good. I mean, it's a little blendy, but it looks pretty good. This. I don't know if I want to cover it up. You could do that. That's not bad. She could clip on the other way, maybe. She's meant to go on this side of the page because of the clip and the way that it pulls open. Let's see what else we have. We have this. So this wrap is made correctly. The other wrap is made a little bit differently, and it didn't quite work out where I put it. That's pretty good. We'll put that there. Then we've got that. Now we've got this situation, and on this side she could go there because she just clips on the page. So she could slide on right there. I mean, I'd glue her too probably, but for now, there she goes. Okay. Do I want this one here? Let's put this one here. Unless I can find a better place for it. Okay, right there. There's a better place for it. This is definitely going to have some kind of decoration. I think we're going to decorate this bag right here. This wraparound thing, it would look lovely here, but it would cover up the house there. Kind of, sort of. Let's see what else we can find. How are you guys doing out there? How many of you have finished this journal? I know many of you have because it is now August. So many of you have finished it. Something needs to go here. I don't know if I want that there. I would say no. How many of you are completely done with your French country or whatever you turned yours into journal? Okay, so we've got to find a place for these two things. That's just hurting my eyes. It could go there, but again, it's hurting my eyes. It hurts my eyes everywhere. I didn't leave myself a place for this one. I could put it on the brown paper bag, but I don't love it there. That's the same paper. We've got stuff all through here. Got stuff here. I'm looking for two places. I mean, I could put this here, but it just covers up the whole thing. I do like how this blue paper peeks out on the other side, though. It's an option. I think once it's decorated, it would probably be fine. I'm going to leave it there for now. But I do want to stick this guy back here somewhere. And I think we're going to stick it. Let's see. I don't want to cover up the ladies. And I think I hated it here. Did I not hate it here? It's okay. It can stay there for now. So we've at least placed them. Who says they're done? Who says they're done? Evelyn has finished, guys. Yay, Evelyn. Thank you so much for finishing your journal. That's awesome. Cheryl's close, the next day off. Kendall loves the theme. Wendy's like, not yet. Sandy doesn't have a kit yet. Sandy, are you on my list to check or what happened there? Did I ship it to you? I don't know. I'm going to look into that because there is somebody on my list who said they didn't get a kit. I need to open messages up to look at that, but I will look. Not me, Jody. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. I see some all caps here. Can find wax beads at the store. So what are we using wax beads for? French ladies that were deported to Louisiana. Ooh, I see. True story book. Awesome. I think I saw your post about that. Being nanny. Oh gosh, that's funny. I hope to be nanny soon. I still need to finish my fairy journals also, so don't feel bad about, not being at the French country journal yet. I have all of them to finish. Still working almost. It's a flat little book, or a fat little book. It's a fat little book, she says. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me look into it because it may have been you. Let me look into it. I know there is a message in there about that, and it might be your message. Hello, Mrs. E. Get home from vacation. That's true. They founded New Orleans. That's awesome. Wax to put on the thread for beading. I see. All different kinds. Some journals are ongoing projects, but unfortunately things cannot live here. I have no space for that. And I make new journals all the time. So we got to finish some old ones because we need to make new ones. It's like a never-ending cycle for me, and I can't get them the last yard. Okay, so let's work on a topper. We have 3. We know that there's some ephemera going in them. I've glued a couple pockets in at least each in one now. So we have 3. Let's work on some toppers and some lace and kind of getting that part started. It looks like I do have a little ways to go in these. They do look lovely though. They look yummy. I like looking at all different angles because I think it's beautiful in an unexpected way. I don't know. It's just, I love books. I can't get over it. Anyway, let's make some toppers. We need to make 3 toppers. And I'm going to put lace down the spine on the outside cover here. Lace down the spine. Toppers, little lacy decoration. Not too much on some, more lacy on others. And that's pretty much the top, or the decoration for the front of the cover. I might wrap something around to the back. It depends. And then for closures on these, it depends on how the topper all works out, but I could just punch holes right here and put eyelets in and tie it with seam binding. That is what I'm thinking I'm going to do on these, is the eyelets here in the center. You punch them with your crocodile, just line them up, measure, whatever, punch them. I like to bend the covers back together and then punch them both at the same time. That way they're exactly in the right spot, but even if they're slightly off, it doesn't matter. But just crinkled seam binding for the tie in there, or you could do something else. You could do something more creative, but I think everybody likes seam binding, right? So we'll do that, I think, for closures. They don't have to have a closure on them, but I like closures because then, if you're sticking it in a backpack or something like that, it's just better than a floppy book like this. So let's work on some closures or some toppers. I don't know what's going on with the words today. I have no place to put these either at the moment. Let me move some glue and clean some glue nozzles. What do I want my grandchild to call me? I think he's just going to call me grandma. We don't, our family never had anything other than grandma, right? We didn't have fancy names. I know, and it's very strange to me the first time somebody asked me what my grandchild was going to call me. I'm like, what do you mean? They're going to call me grandma. I'm grandma. They call me grandma. But it has become, unbeknownst to me at the time, it has become very popular for grandma and grandpa to have a specific kind of name, right? Like nanny, papa, whatever they want to call themselves, right? Or sometimes they just go with whatever the kid calls them because, kids can't always pronounce everything perfectly. So they get, their own little nickname kind of developed that way. But I didn't know that it was like, this trendy thing, whatever. In my whole existence, I was like, grandma, grandpa. I knew that there was like Nana, Papa, you know, things like that. I knew that existed, but I didn't realize it had become so very popular for everyone to have their own little nicknames like that. So it's funny when people ask me, because I'm like, I didn't even know it existed like that. Somehow all of this stuff used to go in here, and now I don't remember how. I think it goes something like this. I don't know. There's that part. Okay. Your swan journal. Awesome. 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 Lolly and Pops. That's so cute. Gaga. No, nobody will call me Gaga. How thick is my journal? At this point, because it doesn't have all the ephemera in it. I don't know. Let's look at the fattest one. The one that is the most complete. I mean, you can see it. Like I can touch covers. I don't have all the stuff stuck in the pockets. Normally I would do that before we actually glue stuff on, but I mean, do you guys want to sit here while I work on that? So normally I would have everything inside of the journal, and then I would decorate the cover, but it seems like I need to make some ephemera. I need to do a little decorating. Like some stuff is in here. It's not, I should have just glued these ones in. I glued all the other ones in, but I just have a little bit more work to do inside, but we can go ahead and do the cover pieces. They feel great in the hand. I don't want to be called Gaga. I can't do it. I don't like Lady Gaga. I can't be called Gaga. I know it has nothing to do with Lady Gaga, but I can't do it. Pammy and Zappy, Granny. See all the names. I don't know. I never knew there were so many different variations for Grandma and Grandpa. I didn't know that. Okay, so in this pile, I have pulled 3 beautiful French checks that I was going to scan and put into that digital that I was going to make. I might still make it eventually. I don't know. I need time to make it. But I was pulling more ephemera to scan and to do that with. This is some of the decorations that I'm going to be using to decorate whatever pockets and things that we need to decorate in there. There are some little girl elements that you could put like on the front cover of your journal. There is some farm decorations like these ones here. So I do have pulled, I have pulled some things to use to decorate them. Let's look and see if we can find anything here that maybe we want. The farm journal, I think I'm going to put the chicken, rooster, whatever it is on the cover. But we could easily stick something else there. No. There's no other big element that I love, so we're just going to go with what I already have planned. These decorations need to go somewhere. And not in there because I need to dig in there. Oh gosh, guys. Hold on just 1 second. I want to show you guys something very quickly. Well, I guess I don't need to show you. I got a package in the mail the other day, and I got it out of the mailbox, like the mailbox in our neighborhood. There was like a stay flat, a white stay flat mailer. And a lot of times I mail out your packages in a white stay flat mailer. Sometimes they come back to me, like if there's an address problem, whatever. If somebody's new and they typed in their address, they gave me the wrong house number one time and their package came back, whatever. So it's no big deal that it came in the mailbox, and I brought it in the house and I was like, okay, let's see whose package got returned to me. And it was a name that I do not remember shipping a package to. And so there was a little label that said undeliverable, unclaimed, return to sender. And so I peeled the label back to see like the full address and everything like that. And then I looked at the date that's printed at the top of the label. I shipped this package in October of 2023. And just now, the mailman is returning it to me, marked undeliverable, unclaimed, return to sender. It's never been opened. The person never got their thing. It was an Etsy order. It's not, I don't even know the person. It was an Etsy order from 2023 that apparently went unclaimed. At the post office, they're not supposed to be holding the unclaimed mail for longer than 30 days before they return to sender. I don't know how they have had a package for nearly 2 years before they return to sender. It scared me that that can happen, that there can be a package lost out there in the mail system for 2 years. But then again, it was reassuring that it did eventually make its way back to me. But 2 years. This is August. That was October of 2023. Like 2 years. That's crazy. What was inside of it? Coffee dyed paper. Oh my gosh. Beast lady? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh my gosh. Oh, a different way to differentiate. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Southern thing. And I think a lot of it is regional or, different, like if your family spoke a different language other than or in addition to English, there are different nicknames that way too. Excuse me. I know I have hiccups. You guys like toppers? Oh gosh. Your daughter and son-in-law are moving in with the baby. Awesome. That's awesome. Fabri-Tac to glue the laminated pocket. Yay. Love it. Yes, 2 years, guys. But the good news is I'm sure they have already been refunded in Etsy or whatever the case may be. I didn't even look into it. I guess I should search her name in there. But there occasionally something, like if you sell a lot of things in Etsy, occasionally somebody does say, hey, I didn't get this package. And then you just refund them because it's just, if they didn't get the package, you just refund it, right? That's the way Etsy works. Either you refund it willingly or Etsy will refund it without you being willing. So that's the way it works. But so they've probably already been refunded for it. But I can't imagine like you would have ordered it and then you didn't go to the mailbox to pick it up. Maybe, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was on vacation hold and they never got it, but even still, it shouldn't take 2 years to get back to me. I think that's kind of crazy. These are some of the other pockets that I'm going to be using in the farm journal and some of the other elements that were included in the kit. These are some of the focal points that I printed just a larger size. I didn't know what I was actually making for a topper yet. We could put this chicken on there on the farm one, but I think I want this chicken on there. And so I think we're going to kind of make a little chicken topper for the farm one. And then I have another chicken too, and I'm not sure if it's weird to put the same chicken here and the same chicken in the center. I'm not sure yet. Usually I would use a different one, but this is the one that's printed. So I think we're going to make a chicken topper and we're going to make a lady topper. Now, do I want one of these ladies, like this lady here, who's just kind of thinking off in the, see, these ones printed by accident. These printed on the worst quality paper ever. And this paper only exists because I print like reports and stuff on it. But it was in the printer and I forgot. See how thin it is? This is like the worst quality paper ever. But those might be good for decoupage because they're on super thin paper. Do I not have any other focal points? I do. I have these ladies. So I could put one of these ladies on the front of one of them. I know I want the patriotic lady on one. So maybe those two ladies. I think those two ladies. Let's cut them out and let's start working with them and then possibly this rooster. I can use that coffee dyed paper now. And what was funny is I was just thinking about my old coffee dyed paper that I used to make and sell. And I was thinking how nice it would be to have some because I don't have time to make it anymore, right? So I was thinking how lovely would it be to actually have a pack of coffee dyed paper. And then guess what? The universe gives me a pack of my own coffee dyed paper right back to me like 2 days later. It was fabulous. So, um, yeah, I don't know how that worked out because stuff doesn't get returned 2 years later. Like that's really excessive. This needs cut down as much as I can cut it down. I think they're only supposed to hold packages for 30 days. So where was it for 2 years? Maybe it was just sitting in a mail, like a mail a post office, just sitting there on a shelf for 2 years. I don't know. Maybe it fell back behind something and then they moved something and found it. They're all different images. They're all different images. Some of them are more, I don't know, lighter, darker. Not quite far enough. A little bit more trimming, and then I probably need to trim a little more. I want this to not overtake the journal cover if we go with this. I'm very struggling to cut this right now. So she could go on there. How she looks on the cover quick. Where did I put those? I have 3 journals. Some are on this table. Right in front of me. Let's just pretend. I think this is the firm one. This is the grungy one. But let's pretend it was going on this one. So I think we could make one of these work with the lacy stuff and that lady on the front. Because it's very red, white, and blue on the inside. So I think we could make it work. And I think it needs to be this one. Because this is more of the ladies in this one. So let's do this one on that. Doesn't really matter for placement, but that one goes on there. And we're going to layer them up. I don't need another lady. I just need one. I don't want a cow. I might want this chicken. I'm going to cut it out and we will play with it. I want to see what it looks like. I can never tell where the cutty thing is on this one. These were printed like a 4x6 size, I think. So if I put a rooster on the front, where's my grungy farm one? It's always the last one down here. If I put a rooster on the front with laces and things, I think that could look good. I know we have more like colorful farm. I put one cow, one chicken, and one sheep in here. So I'm not sure if I want the black and white one, but it could go on there. And then here's the other option. Where's my patriotic lady? Right here. I have one of these cut out somewhere, but I don't know where. So we're just going to cut another one. Because I think she's going on the other lady journal. And this one I just got to line up. Let's try it there. And she would go on this one. She would go on the one with the red, white, and blue. It's kind of red and tan fabric sticking out of there. I love the way that she's not too bright. So I can really make the lace kind of shine on here. I don't know. I think that's what's going to happen is those three. But we're going to cut out this other chicken because we need to cut him down. Because he's landscape, he was a little bit trickier for me to get. I'm going to do 2. Exactly the same. They can't be so wide though. You don't get a lot of the blue. It's not really like, he's a little weird. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I need to print him a different way, but he might go there. And I have a bonus. And I have some scraps. And I have some trash. Okay. There's that. I thought it was 2, but I was looking at it and I'm like, maybe it's not really a rooster. Maybe it's just a very angry hen. I wasn't really sure. It looks like a rooster, but there was a different image and it had a white one. And I think maybe that one was a hen. I'm not sure. So I'm going to build my base on that watercolor cardstock. This is the way I build journal toppers that are made out of paper. If I'm building a topper that's made out of fabric or lace or whatever, there's a different process. But this process is for them made on paper, cardstock. I hate that cutter and I will not recommend it to you. I will recommend you get one of the Caterpillar ones. The Caterpillar ones are my favorite. I have that one because it was sent to me and I was supposed to try it out. And then when I told them what I thought of it, we both agreed it was probably not a good idea that I actually make a review video. But I am using it because it is the smaller size that will fit into this room on a shelf very easily. The Caterpillar I have is made for like in my craft room where I have a big, huge desk to work from. I don't have to worry about space to store it or whatever. It has its own little shelf that it sits on. But in this room, it has like a 12 by 12 base and it's thick green plastic because that's the model that I chose to get when I bought one. But they have smaller ones that don't take up so much space. And I probably just need to break down and find one of those and buy it so that I can have it in this room because I do not like that cutter. The Caterpillar one is the same looking cutter, but it is very different behaving. It cuts perfectly every single time. You can easily see the marks and line stuff up. It doesn't chew up your paper. Like I just cut these and it is like a deckled edge. Like it doesn't cut well at all. And this one, the mechanism is very different than the Caterpillar mechanism. I love Tim Holtz. I love most every product he makes. I am just not a fan of the tonic cutters. Only this last round of tonic cutters have I been unhappy with. Prior to that, I like Tim Holtz tonic products. I love Tim Holtz. I'm just not a fan of that last round of cutters. I don't like the guillotine one that he has. I don't like the paper trimmer. And I don't like that rotary one that you just saw me use. I keep saying I'm going to throw it in the trash because it's so dang irritating. I almost said a swear word. And the reason why I'm super frustrated with it right now is because when I was in the other room cutting my, you know how when you stick a journal signature together, some pages in the center stick out further and you need to trim them. Well, I was cutting those pages and the cutter jammed, got stuck. And I know I was cutting 3 pages, but it was 3 pages. It wasn't like 15. It was 3 pages. It's just a crap cutter. Maybe it needs sharpened. Maybe I got a defective one. That's my really rude opinion on it. I mean, I cut things nearly every day. When I'm making 365 videos, I use it all the time. I use a cutter all the time. I need a cutter that just works. That green Caterpillar one, I can cut like eight pieces of cardstock perfectly straight all the time. It doesn't jam, it doesn't get stuck, it doesn't get dull, it doesn't chew it up. I've never had that thing leave me like a jagged edge like the Tim Holtz Tonic one most often does. I don't know what it is. With the Caterpillar one, it has like a chain system inside of it, and it is better, in my opinion. You'll look into it and you make your own educated decisions, but that's how I'm feeling today, because it really just irritated me like 20 minutes before I was live. And I was like, this thing's going in the garbage. Anyway, we're moving on from that. That's what I thought too about the comb. And I wasn't sure how much red, like, don't they also have like a thing that dangles from their throat also a little bit? And maybe the hens don't have it. I have no idea. All I know is I eat eggs and I'm thankful for them. That's all I really know. Maybe I could have came in, but I didn't want to trim his feathers. So this one is just going to be a little awkward size. If I use this, just a little awkward size. Now maybe I bring the lace in, or maybe I trim it. I'm not sure yet on that guy. I'm not sure on either of the roosters, but for now we're going to focus on making this lady. I'm sure this lady is going to go, and I'm sure this lady is going to go. So we're going to focus on making those. I need that trimmer again because I'm going to cut this cardstock down in a minute, but this is just the base. Nobody really sees this. I'm using it for stability. On the front cover of a journal, if you just used cardstock that is flimsy, I don't prefer that. I prefer a nice, thick, sturdy base to my topper. Let me get a glue stick. That's a chicken? Okay. I think he makes wonderful products. He designs wonderful products. But, there's a lot of factors that go into, stuff being manufactured. And I'm sure a lot of it is completely out of his control and all of that kind of stuff. I'm looking for a glue stick that doesn't... We're just going to use it. I mean, it looks horrid, but these are super old ones from my craft bag. They're no longer blue, but they do need used up, so we're going to use it. I will overglue just because I know this is older and who knows. All products have issues. Is not, there's not a perfect cutter out there. That's why we all own like 12 cutters, because there's not a perfect one. But what I can tell you is I do own 12 or 13 or 15 or however many. And I can tell you the Caterpillar one is my favorite, as it is many. If you look that brand up, you'll see that they do make them differently. Okay, so I'm going to try to line this up where I have less cutting to do. Can't guarantee that, but I'm going to try. Okay. There's that. All I'm doing here is making this thicker. I like to print it on the super smooth Nina cardstock, and then I like to glue it to that watercolor cardstock to thicken it up. And then I glue this to my cover and add a bunch of lace around it or under it or both, probably. I seem to be very opinionated today. I didn't have any coffee, and I am not responsible for the mood that I am when I do not get coffee. That's basically where we're at right now. I don't allow myself to have coffee every day, although I am really second guessing that decision moment to moment. If I have coffee every day, it tends to not work as well for the energy. My body gets used to it basically, and then it's like, no, an extra shot isn't enough. Now you need 2 extra shots. So I can't have coffee every day, or else it doesn't give me energy. The only reason why I like the flavor and everything, but the only reason why I drink coffee is for energy, and it's only used on days that are very difficult, like where I have way too much work or filming or something else to do. Let's go ahead and pretend we're going to use him and glue him there. I also have the decal. It works okay, but people didn't really like that one either. There's a learning curve with the decal one, and I think a lot of people didn't quite get that curve. Because when it first came out, it had horrible reviews, and he had to make a video explaining how you use it and all the things. And I think that's true with a lot of the Tim products is, a lot of different, like new crafters, whatever, they were using his products. And so sometimes the reviews get skewed negatively, false negatively, because new people were using and maybe not using correctly. And that might be the problem with the trimmer for me. Somebody could certainly argue, hey, you're using it wrong. But here's the thing. This is the way I craft, and I need a tool that works for me, for the way I craft. Even if I'm crafting wrong, I need a tool that works for me and the way I craft. So I'm going to use what works for me. And maybe, maybe the Tim Holtz trimmer, maybe it works perfectly for you. Probably there's somebody out there that says it does. But for me, it doesn't. So I'm going to use Caterpillar. I'm just going to have to buy the smaller one that doesn't have a 12 by 12 base. I like the 12 by 12 base. It just doesn't fit. I don't have, where can I set a 12 by 12 base when I don't need it right here in front of me? Basically nowhere in this room. When I was crafting earlier today, I got to craft in my actual craft room, and I haven't crafted in there in probably 6 months. I don't know, a very long time. I loved it. My chair is more comfortable in there. September kit. Well, I think we have September, we have October. You guys can tell me right now. Do you want a fall kit in September? Do you want that kit to be the official fall kit? Or do you want to wait until October for a fall kit? My thought was if we did fall in September, because it'll take us at least a month to make the journal, right? If we did fall in September, then you would have that journal ready to use or sell or whatever in October. If we make a fall journal in October, then you'll have it ready for November November. Yeah, November. So anyway, you guys let me know. Do you want fall in October or do you want fall in September? And then we can talk about theme. Because I could make any one of like 6 kits at the moment. I know they're not all lined up this way, but let me attempt that. I got it close at least. I have a nice scrap piece that can be used for some more toppers. I can't see where the line is to cut on this at all. Did pretty good there, but not perfect. Not perfect there either. I'm gonna have to do that one again. No. There we go. Chopped a little too much off, but it's okay. We need to go one more time. So now these are cardstock, printed cardstock onto watercolor. They are very thick and sturdy. These could be journal covers if you wanted them to. Because I think when we make journals, we need to start making for like the season ahead. because it does take us a long time to make them. Fall in September. Okay. I see lots of people saying fall in September. I do not see anyone saying fall in October. So if we do fall in September, do you guys want a completely like, orange fall, whatever fall color kit? Or do you want something that could be fall, could not be fall? You have some options there. Some people do not want a fall kit at all because they don't want a seasonal kit because maybe they know it's going to take them more than 2 or 3 or 4 months to do it. So I inked my cardstock before I put it on here, and I also ink the glued together sandwich cardstock, and it just gives me a really nice inked edge. Everything is inked. You won't ever see any of the white. And I do need to replace this dauber thing, but I keep forgetting. I don't have any of those in here. I would really like to start doing videos and lives in my craft space because it has been really hard moving things back and forth, A, and B, it has been really hard wanting a certain thing or a decoration or whatever to use and not being able to use it, even though you bought it to use and it's sitting over there and you just, you can't get up every 5 seconds and go get something, right? So I can't wait till I get to craft where my craft things and space are. That would be really great. And a normal chair, because I have to sit in a bar stool to do these videos. If I get to sit, like right now I'm standing, if I get to sit, then it's in a bar stool, and sitting at bar stool height, I don't know about you guys, but it's not the most comfortable for me. Steampunk fall. I see. Fall colors. You definitely want fall colors. Okay. Birthday season. Birthday season. I love that. Full on fall. Okay. The watercolor cardstock that I'm using is the cheap brand. It's called B brand from Walmart. And the reason why I use it is because I'm not watercoloring on it. I'm not a watercolor artist. I'm using it for stability, for structure only. So I like the watercolor pads that are the BEE brand from Walmart. I get them with my grocery delivery. You like fall color? Fall color? Okay. Well, I don't have a fall color necessarily at the tip of my fingers, but I do have something that will work. So I will make it work for us. All right, here's our little options. They're all ready to be glued down. And we're going to put some lace behind them. So let me get some layering lace. Do I have any over here? I mean, I have this little lace thing. It needs redone so badly. I have this. And if we focus on that netty part, I need you to see this. Where are my scissors? Buried under ephemera. I'm going to cut this one wide and just chop at it because I do not want a perfectly straight edge. That is obviously too wide, but I need to leave it wide at this point because I'm not sure what I'm doing with it. Need to see the grungy cover. So obviously we would make this a little more narrow and a little less square. But I do like the net part of it. I also like how it's kind of chunky. It's like a chunkier cut up tablecloth piece. So I think we would use this one with the rooster. He will need a little bit of work. I don't know about this bottom part. Do we want that up at the top? And is this the front or the back? I don't know, but I like this side better, so we're going to go with that side. I think that is the back side, though. And see, I don't like this up here at the top. I like the... Right? Not that up there at the top. Let's put the net at the top. I ask you guys and then I just do it. That's the way it goes here, right? Okay, let's put that net at the top. Let's leave the length of it there. Let's maybe make some little edits to the edges. Lace will probably wrap around this side here, so I won't really need to worry about that unless I want to go over top of the lace for the spine. Let's leave that like that for now. Let's find another piece of some kind of layering lace for other ones. Like I don't think I can get away with. It's just too small. It might work for this one. She's the most narrow. I don't know. This is probably not her journal, but we need to put something else back there. It's just not right. It's not wide enough for this, but that's okay. It's a good piece for something else. Let's find something else for these ones. Chicken wire. I actually pulled some old Stampin' Up! Stamps that have a chicken wire pattern and a chicken. And I sorry for reaching out for. Let me just pull this forward and you guys can dig with me. This was supposed to be a very small little scrap bin and I just keep throwing things on it. And so now it's giant. But I pulled some Stampin' Up! Stamps. One of them is a chicken wire stamp. Like this is good background lace. So maybe the chicken wire stamp might get stamped somewhere. This is also good layering lace. And this is a little bit more frilly. Like I will have one journal that is a little bit more frilly. Maybe that on there. Let's save these two pieces. And let's push this back that way so we have some working room. We're looking at layering some laces behind our focal point on our cover. This one is very rectangle. Little chicken, you need to go somewhere because we're not going to use you. So this is, I would never ever do this. Just so you know, I would never ever put a rectangle focal point on a rectangle piece of lace without making something stick out somewhere. But it's good to know that we could put this back there for texture, but we would still need something else back there. Maybe we mixed these two together. There are scraps falling everywhere. Maybe we mix these two. You like it like this. Just a little bit off center. It's just not a rectangle now when you look at it. You have these points, but remember I'm going to have lace going down my spine, which is going to cover that point. And I can trim this point off, go right in here and kind of, you know, make it jaggedy there. Rough and jaggedy. Maybe something like that. Let's leave that one alone for a moment. So we have two kind of work in progress. And then we have this lady. And this lady is going to be our, all of my ephemera just fell out. This lady is going to be our frilly lady with lace. I didn't even bring the book weight in here. And I think we could do something a little fancier on one. I really like this. Let's do it this way. And let's cut a piece to layer behind her. I don't want 3 points. You can't see. 3 points across here gives me too much of a line. So when I cut this, I'm only going to want 2 points. 2 points is a topper. 3 points is a, hey, I'm cutting this journal cover in half situation. Probably doesn't make any sense to anyone but me. But 2 points is all we need. Now from the 2 points, I can kind of wiggle and get a little rough with it and tear it. I never cut topper layering laces perfectly straight. They don't look as natural if they're straight, hard edges. So now we have this. I keep looking for the front and the back on this one. They did tell me my readers are done, so that's good. So now we have that. That's perfect. However, we need a little more. You know, it's a little plain still. I want to see about taking some little bits of this and kind of, and we kind of cheat it. Make it appear bigger than it is. I like that look. And remember, we're going to have lace over here. So I like the way that this kind of swirls right there. I think we would pull it up a little bit, but that's a good start for this one. It's a good start. Something like that. Okay. Let's look at the lace for the spine. This lace, I used to have this in Etsy, but I only have a personal stash at the moment. In other words, I don't have a lot to share. I have this. It's more netting. Do we need any other netting tucked in there? I don't think we do. We'll go overboard with that. Okay, so there's that part of it. I have other laces. I was looking for something for some project the other day. I don't remember what. I think I put lace, that other journal that I made. Let's see about layering something else back there. It takes away. I want to see the white on the red. This one is a nice piece, but it takes away. Maybe we could use it for something else. I definitely want this. So I'm just going to leave this here for now. And we're going to work on putting lace over some of the edges here to blend these edges in. I could almost put the cream lace back in the background. We've got to do trial and error. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it would be where I can see it but not see it. It's back there. I don't really have a feeling yes or no on that one. So why do it if it doesn't say yes? I guess. If it doesn't look amazing, why do it? Okay. So we're still here. There we go. How about gold on this one? Do we want gold? I never know if it's like 50 yards that I'm pulling out or if I'm pulling out just 6 inches of lace out of there. We could take a little gold under there. A little gold across the bottom, not all the way, but a little bit. And I do like to wrap some around to the back side, so I'm going to leave that long. And then this also allows me to put the gold down the page edge for this one. So I like that. We got some gold at the bottom. We need to finish this one off. Let's go ahead and glue some lace down the spines. I think we're at that point now. I have some other options of layering page edges. Let's go ahead and glue that lace down the spine. I'll have to work on a fall colored journal. In my mind, it was a little early because, like I said, it's still 115 degrees here. But in other parts of the country, I do realize it is starting to threaten to cool off at least. So these three with her and somewhere. For the lace down the edge, I just need to look quick. I'm going to cut a piece and we're going to look at it. I don't know if I want the scallops or the points. If I want the points, I want them centered. And I was fussy with your lace when I was cutting it and trying to make sure that I cut yours the way that I would want to put it on my journal cover. So I could have scallops on the front, but I think I like points on the front. I'm not positive yet. The scallops would wrap around to the back. The points would be on the front. But this is what I'm going to use to cover the lace, the sewn in part, the thread there on my spine. So if we have that, we would have a little gold. I won't be able to wrap it because that's there, but we'll have a little gold. This is why videos take 4 hours. Because I don't know what I want. I can't tell the right side on this one. And I still want this poking out the side. It's not exactly the location, but it'll give us a good idea. Minus all, well, that needs trimmed, but minus all that fuzziness there. I think we could make it work. Then we would over embellish some of the edge, like I said, with some different lace. We'll have to move some things up or down or whatever. But let's go ahead and get this on. We just won't wrap it over and glue it. We'll just glue on the center here just to get it there. And then that way we can start gluing these down. The heat is terrible in Arizona. I'm in Arizona. So when we have trick-or-treaters, that trick-or-treat Halloween is typically the day, literally that night usually, is when the weather cools off. And then it's only at night for a little while in November. And then finally the daytime temperature starts to go down. I don't like living in Arizona. I just, that's where I happen to get put, I guess. And so we're here for the time being, but I would like very much to move from Arizona. Okay. We're going to start with this guy. This one is not, this is not the one we want to do this to anyway. We want to do this to this one. We want to do it on this one. So anytime you guys are using, anytime you're putting lace over top of your signature strings, make sure you are using Fabri-Tac on fabric, and especially over your signature strings. And I put a good bit, like you don't want it to seep down the holes or anything, and you don't have to worry about it. It's not really going to, but I put a good bit. You're really securing those signature strings with glue, as well as, adding the decorative lace there. And so because I know I'm going to wrap it, I'm just going to put a little bit here. Just kind of spread that out a little bit, because we're just tacking this down for the moment, so I can finish decorating. Okay. There's that. Let's go there. That looks good. So on this one, we've got beads and sequins. So we're just going to give that a moment. Normally I would stray away from putting beads on your signature spine of your journal, but I feel like this one's okay. It's not very much beads. It's not very much pearls or whatever sequence. I think it's okay. And we're not really using it to secure, anything. It's just decorative going down the spine. Just need to hold it because I don't have book weight in here. I'm not from Arizona. Okay. There's that. That's tacking up. Giving it a moment. And we'll glue these down after we get those other layers and stuff on there. Just going to take a peek at the back, make sure everything is good there. And on the back side, I can go ahead and start getting these points glued down. We're not doing anything else on the back side. That's perfectly decorative enough. So I left the lace really long so that I can cut it off. I believe your piece of lace is also long. And I'm just adding the glue where, so I'm not adding it in the mesh area. I'm only adding it where the white kind of embroidered part is, so that it doesn't really show all gloopy through the mesh part. So if you have a beaded lace that is thicker than this with a big bunch of things that stick out and are textural, pokey, whatever, I would probably stay away from putting it on the spine. But this one just has a few pearls here or there. I don't feel like it's going to be painful in your hand or interfere with it laying flat or you using it or anything like that. And so we just need to put some where we think this is going to go, because we're going to trim it. A Southern accent. I don't think I do, but maybe. I have an accent, but I don't know which one it is. Okay. That's good enough for that now. We can leave that lay like that. And we're still not stuck here, so we're good. Alrighty. Let's start working on this part. The gold is going to go on first, but for height, I need to leave that white one there, and I need to cut this one. I don't want it to go all the way to the edge. I'm going to try a piece this size and see how I like it. So that's going to go there. This white one over the top. This gold one needs to go up. And now that I see it with this white one, it doesn't quite look the same to my eye. I still like it, still going to do it. Right about there is good. She might be a tad low. No, she's good. Okay. Enough fussing. Okay. I ask that you guys not ask where people are from or give your locations just because it's a security thing. I know it seems like a perfectly reasonable thing to talk about and ask. But if you think about it, there's identity theft all the time. And sometimes all they need is your name, which most of you guys have YouTube names that are your real names. I'm going to scoot that up just a little. I don't remember it being that low. But anyway, it's kind of a security risk when you think about it. Because a lot of people here, they can get your Google account. You've got your name there and all that kind of stuff. So I would say try to guard your personal information with the utmost care because we've all had our identity stolen and it's a whole big old headache. All right, so the gold lace is down. Nobody wants to spend what seems like months on the phone. I mean, I know I don't want to do it again, right? I don't know what it is, but pretty much everyone has it happen to them at some point. So that's going to go there. I just want to tack down underneath these two things. And I wasn't sure if this was top or bottom, but that's where it's going now. No, you're fine. I know, you know, it's something that should be reasonable, but unfortunately, because of bad people, we all have to think about things in a different way, right? Anytime that you're on the internet, you just got to start thinking about things a little bit differently. So at the moment, I'm just tacking things there. We'll make some adjustments as we need to. This has this really rough little fraying piece of stuff, and I kind of want to leave it. I'm going to leave it. And she's going to go roughly there. So we're at the point where I've just lightly tacked down this really thin lace down here. And this is what's going to secure everything, is me gluing the actual paper topper thing to this lace, which will seep down to the cover. I like to try to give it a little bit of a shape. It's going to go on kind of a rounded journal. That's pretty good. My dad, you know how I was telling you about the Social Security thing? He says that he isn't going to have to pay taxes on his Social Security thing. I don't know if you guys remember that conversation. I told you I would let you know whether or not it really meant a change for him. He says it does mean a change for him. That he will now have extra money because he doesn't have to pay taxes on his Social Security. I don't know if it's the same for everybody. I think it depends on how much. I think it only really helped people. And this is terrible to say on what I just said, but I think it really only helped people after a certain amount of income, because I think Social Security, you know, if you have other income in addition to Social Security, maybe that's where the benefit came from. I'm not sure. But for him, it seems to be making a difference. All right, so now I'm going to get really gluey in there and give it a nice thick bunch. The last thing you want is your topper coming off. So when I add a lot of glue to something, I do give it just a little bit of time before I glue this down. Yeah, I think that's what we found out, Shelly. But he's still watching pink salt ads. So I have told him to get off of Facebook and stop watching pink salt ads. But he's determined to find out the secret of pink salt. I have told him it is a scam, and apparently he is very bored. And so he's still trying to find the secret to the pink salt weight loss. I find it funny because it doesn't matter how many times I tell him that these things are scams. He still devotes his time to watching them on Facebook. I think we're good there. You know, I don't know. I've never watched them. I've seen them, but I just keep scrolling because I'm not really, you know, I'm not going to sit there and watch something like that. But I think he told me this is the way he said it to me. He says, I watched that thing for an hour and a half and they still never told you. And I'm not trying to make fun of old people. It's not that. It's just that I have repeatedly told him that those things on Facebook are not real. Don't put any of your personal information in there. And I think he's just bored or whatever. I don't know. Maybe he just leaves it play in the background. Hopefully, right? But he said he watched for an hour and a half. I'm like, Dad, how could you watch a commercial for an hour and a half? When a commercial comes on the TV, you don't watch it, you hate it, you know, you can't wait for it to end. But an hour and a half? That's a really long time. He needs a new hobby, and I'm trying to help him. He has a hobby. He just needs help setting up the equipment for this hobby in his den. I know. I have told him all of these things, but guess what? He still falls for it. I usually make a journal that's 9 by 6, but if I was cutting like a quilt or something, like a fabricy cover, I would cut it to 10 by 13. For these journals, the single signature made out of watercolor cardstock, the cardstock is 9 by 12. Because you're adding fabric and a little bit of other things, it basically equals a 6 by 9. Sometimes it's like 6.5 by 9, but or yes, 6.5 by 9. But this is the way the watercolor cardstock makes a very simple cover, and you can put just decorative paper over it. You could put fabric over it. You could put like a velvety plush, fabric. You could do it a lot of different ways. I think she's good on there. A little tweaking here to the corner. I think she's looking pretty good. I think we need to add a little bit more lacy stuff, but I think we're ready to glue these too. So let's get that done. Now, before I glue those, let me go ahead and make this trim here. I don't know why he watches the pink salt thing. Because he's bored, I guess. Maybe it's his way of telling me that, you don't pay enough attention to me, and so I have to sit here and watch pink salt ads. That could be. This is a great little snippet. And you could sew the beads back on. I'm not going to, but somebody could. So there's that one. Now let's trim this one. It's definitely not a tutorial on how to trim this around the edge of your journal, but whatever works. I like leaving it a tiny little bit longer. Cute little snippet. There's that part. Get my fabric again. I need to make these just a little bit shorter. I was waiting to see how much they frayed. I'm not opposed to leaving them that long, but they also could be shorter. Yeah, it's not really his kind of thing. The summertime is tougher for him because his main hobby, they can't really do here in the summertime. So he has to wait for the weather to cool off. And then, his main hobby will be back and life will be good. But in the meantime, he needs a secondary one that he can do indoors. And somebody needs to help him get that equipment set up so that he can do it. Apparently, my sister sent him a robot vacuum mopping thing. I've had the robotic, what are they called? iRoombas or iRobot. I don't know what they're iRobot is the movie. It's Roomba or something like that. I don't know. But I've had those, and I had a cat at the time, and the cat could not deal with that thing moving on its own. So I got rid of the one I had, but certainly my sister sent him one that mops and vacuums, and he is happy with it. He thinks it does a good job, but he says it's constantly getting stuck under like couches and tables and things. And he's like, I can't get down there and unstick it. And I'm like, okay, I'm coming over. I only live, let's see, probably it's about 15 minutes, even though it's just a few miles, just because the road doesn't go through. If the road went through, it'd be fine. But so I'm the closest one to him, so I can go over there, 2 little projects for him. I think we're pretty good here. We need a little bit more embellishing. This little line right here will need something put on it that's a little more decorative. We haven't used any cream lace, and I don't know that we can blend cream in here. Let me see if I have some kind of cream. Like, I definitely have cream lace, but let me see if I have some smaller, this stuff. This is like my go-to line covering up thing lately. I don't love the cream mixed with the white. I think you guys will agree, but I don't love the cream mixed with the white. Like if we did 4 of these right here. That might be a little harder of a challenge. Let's see what this is. I don't really love that either. I've got these 2 scallops and I don't want to cover up those scallops. So I really need a very narrow lace right there. And I don't have one of those in front of me. I have all kinds of other laces. I just don't have a narrow one. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we got pretty far with her. She needs tacked down a little bit more. The most important part is the corners. So I'm going to get in here and tack this down with a lot of glue. And I might have to put rubber bands on that to hold it. Yeah, this needs glue in here. Maybe it does. I think it does. I don't want my lace to get tucked in there though, like it just did. Got to keep my lace out, but I do want glue in there. Okay. Back to holding. Oh no. Rose, that's terrible. I don't think I do. At the moment, I know there are more requests in the messages. I have not, if you have requested one, I have not answered those deliberately because I have more requests than I have kits made at the moment. I was trying to see if I could pull together a couple more kits. So if you asked for a kit in the last week or 5 days or so, I will be answering you back on Sunday or Monday probably, and you'll either get an invoice for a kit, or I will message you and let you know that I did not have enough to go around. I need to look at whose messages came in first and all of that kind of stuff. And then there was one person who apparently something's up with their package or something, and I need to figure that out. Okay. I think she's going to be on there, but she's going to need to be rubber band. I think she's on there pretty good. I'm not done with her, but before we move on, I need this piece to stay on this journal. And we're just going to rubber band that a whole big bunch of times so it gets tight. And then I'm going to let her sit overnight, and I will come back and do the final little bit of top lace and embellishing. I have a gigantic box of rubber bands next to me for this exact reason, because I like to rubber band the journals. It also holds down all the other lace. It's kind of like setting something heavy on it, but you're not really like flattening and squishing every single bit of your journal. I am squishing that tag right there, but other than that, we're good. That tag is fine. All right, so we've got our rubber bands on. She's pretty squished in there. Could use one right there on the corner. And one right here. Now let's look at the rooster and see what we can do with that one quickly. So she's kind of daydreaming there. That's pretty good. Let's let her sit. She looks in a sad state at the moment, but let's let her sit. We didn't peel anything up. It's nothing backwards or anything like that. So that's all good. Let's work on the next one. The next one was this one. And I really like that, but we need more. Text me, or you can email me, Jody. You can email me. Jody's the only one allowed to email me unless you're international. Just joking. Jody, you can email me. I think we're going to go with this. And then we'll do some of these cream laces. Like this isn't a long enough piece, but some of these ecru cream color, whatever they are. I told you this basket is a mess. We'll do some of these kind of across there. I think this sounds like a plan. So let's get this one going. Yeah, unfortunately, you can't do fly fishing. I mean, you can do it here, but we do not live close to where that would take place. I'm going to trim this a little bit and we'll worry about the rest later. He needs an indoor hobby because he has a great outdoor hobby when the weather is nice. So he needs an indoor hobby, which he has one. He just, like I said, he needs some help getting this equipment set up where he needs it set up. All right, so we're going to add glue to this and do the same process for this one. A girdle for your bag. Oh my gosh. A girdle for your journal? What exactly is the definition of a girdle? Because, you know, I'm familiar with the corsets, but I'm not really that familiar with the girdle. Are we talking about like Spanx? Is that what we're talking about when we say girdle? I think it's something like Spanx. Hopefully you guys know what Spanx. I'm pretty sure you guys know what Spanx is, but hopefully it's something like that. We're a little too far over. I wasn't sure if I was going to do the white on the farmhousey one, but I apparently am. So I didn't get to eat the stuffed bell peppers for dinner. I have 0 planned for tonight, and I am getting hungry. I don't know what dinner is going to be. The age-old question of what's for dinner every day for 100 years of our womanly existence. We must figure out what dinner is. Just checking and making sure that we're straight and the scallops are even. Kind of, sort of. We're looking good on this side. So now I'm just going to squeeze it in there. To hold up your stockings. Oh, okay. You pull an elastic tube on with hooks for stockings. I think I remember seeing these things. Kind of like a belt that maybe had some shapewear into it. And then there were long clips for stockings. I think I remember seeing this. It's like the first Spanx. Pizza Friday night. The problem is where we live, pizza would take like 2 hours to get delivered. And I'm not in the mood for leaving the home either. So there's that. 2 hours. We could use that lace on the other one. All right. Well, we're roughly even. There's that. Let's get this other stuff on here. I'm going to go something like this. I might need to cut a little. I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose all of this lovely netting up here. So let's trim this one at a sharper angle so I can see some netting. I don't want that to wrap around right on my chicken's head either. But it's pretty much going to. I have to move him down so that he's in between those. Well, I think that will work. I do want this other lace in here. So let's get this lace cut and put in here. And we didn't end up using that one thus far. I don't really want the line. So how are we going to do it? Maybe just 4 points. Let's do 4 points. Okay, tacking down. I would like to see a little bit more of my cover though. Perfect. Perfectly imperfect. Okay, so a baby book. I don't know if we will or we won't. We both craft a lot and hard. We craft least and last for our own families, which is terrible. But that's just kind of the way it ends up working out, you know? Nobody designs it that way. It just kind of ends up being that. I'm going to get some down on here, and then we're going to hit the high points of this. I'm sure that we will. He is going to be coming soon. In the next week, but probably sooner than later. once she calls me, that will put a hold on everything that's happening, obviously. You guys know, I do, have to be there and help her and whatever. So when I get that text, call, whatever, however it comes, it will put a hold in whatever we're doing here. Now, obviously, I will be coming back here daily and I can, answer texts and most things from my phone. What I can't do from my phone is invoice, pack or ship. So I'm really hoping we can get this round done before he comes, but I kind of think we will not get both weeks of sales done before my grandson comes. Whenever he comes, that will be the end of the cycle, and I will begin packing, shipping, invoicing from then on. So if we don't get all four sales in, it's just because I don't want to. You're going to pay an invoice tomorrow, and if I can't get all 4 sales in, I don't want to be like, oh, we'll just extend it another week. I don't want to do that. I would rather pack and ship you. So if we get a sale on Tuesday, then I will invoice whatever you guys buy next week. I will invoice next Friday, as long as I am home, and I will pack and ship whatever you have here whenever my grandson comes, which is probably going to be next week. All right. Hopefully that made sense. I think we're looking good there. Yep. That's funny. Brats and corn on the cob. You guys are going to make me so hungry. So hungry. I think corsets would be lovely until you actually had to wear them all the time. All right. Something like that. I think if I hold it up and look at it, it's a little lower than what I typically would do for a focal point, but we're going to go with it because otherwise this thing will cover his head. So we're going to get this on now, and then I'm going to put lace over the top. I can't wait. But I can wait, obviously. Healthy baby is most important, and healthy mother. But that's just where we're at. We have some signs that things are definitely going to happen one way or another. Women will probably understand what that means, but so we're just kind of waiting. She's going to get a call from her doctor tomorrow, and her doctor will tell her whether they're going to induce, but based on some other things, she might not need to be induced. We're just waiting. And then I want to really hit these corners. It's kind of like bulking it up at the same time. Okay. Lots of glue on that one. French corsets. The ads look lovely, but I'm sure they were torturous to wear. I think they would be a fun journal, but what would we do for people who did not want to do that topic? You know what I mean? Some people won't want to do a journal like that. Just, it's underwear. Don't want it too far over. Something in this range. You maybe could be scooted up just a hair. Okay. There are so many ads in those French fashion magazines of corsets. Lots of scannable material there. The sewing journal. I think that's where it belongs, and it just maybe one image, just because it's not very modest necessarily. I don't know. It depends, right? Let me at least try to get this stuck down before we move forward. That lace underneath is extremely thick, and that's why I was adding quite a bit of lace to it, or of glue to it, just because that piece is pretty thick. I think we're good there. I might want to tack that right there. Let's tack it here. I don't want everything completely flat, but I don't want something that's so big and heavy that it would pull up. This is okay down here because I'm going to stick something over it in a minute. Need this one to stick. All right, let's glue these over the top. We're almost done with this one too. Well, not done, but at least the base layers of this done. I will come back in and do some other embellishings with some appliques and whatnot, but that's a little too high with that glue. I keep meaning to make my kids scrapbooks from like the 90s. Oh my gosh. We always, I was always the mom that would make sure that all the holiday food and holiday stuff and all of that kind of stuff was done. I mean, typical mom stuff, right? Make sure everybody had everything they needed before we worried about fixing our hair nice or, taking 3 hours in the bathroom with hot rollers or whatever the case was at the time. Yeah. Most moms, we worried about taking care of other people first. And so now I don't make the scrapbooks because I'm worried about taking care of this stuff for you guys. We'll make the scrapbooks eventually. Eventually I will retire and then I will sit there and I will be like you guys and I'll make memory books for my own family, right? But eventually I will retire and then I'll do it. Maybe before. We'll see. All right, so there's the base of that. Looking pretty good for the base of it. We're not upside down. Well, that's always a plus when you're not upside down. Okay, so let's go ahead and rubber band this one. I know that I want a piece of lace down here. I'm not sure. I probably should have stuck it underneath there. Let me try it. I wasn't sure if I wanted it over the top to blend the line, but now I want to at least try it under here. So let's try it before my glue dries and before I rubber band it. Yeah, let's do it. Normally I cover this line with lace, but let's get this in position and add some glue under here. I want this to poke out a little bit. It's a little hard to work with when it's already got glue on it, but you know what? Now I can really get in here and really glue it. Not ideal to do it this way, but hey, it still works. I'm glad that I thought about it now instead of looking at it in the morning and wondering why I didn't stick glue and stuff and lace back behind here. Okay, we need to get our corners really glued down again though. Renaissance Fairy, I know there are so many ideas. The rooster's good. It probably should have been a different image, but it's good. I have another one that would have been perfect, but I didn't print it. And I don't have it available for you guys, and it would have been frustrating for you guys. So, shoemakers' children didn't have shoes. Yep. We always take care of, the important things, the important people. I don't know how to say it. Before ourselves. All right, so I'm a little bit under there. And I think I kind of want to be under there. Do I want this over or under? I guess it's got to go there. Let's cheat it to the side. And then we'll glue this. Cheat it over to the side. I can't get it to work either. No matter where I put it, it's going to get covered by this one. So we're just going to let it get covered. I have re-glued a couple of times. So this guy's definitely getting rubber bands. Okay. So this is where we're at right now. It does still need a little something. I won't be able to leave that plain probably. It is supposed to be farmy, but it's not supposed to be like super farmy. It's supposed to be kind of roses and roosters farmy. Okay, I'm going to rubber band this one before anything else moves on me. So we got two toppers basically done. They need a little embellishing. Everything I'm doing is basically done. Basically done. This kind of story of my life at the moment, though. Basically done. Right? I have many things. That paper is getting torn anyway, so that's okay. It's that music paper that I want a rough torn edge to. This is just going to enhance that. Normally, I open the journal up and tear that off, but we're going to let the rubber bands help us with that today. This one moved. Can't be having that. Perfect. So guys, it's Friday. I hope that you guys enjoyed your week, and I hope that you guys get some crafty time in on the weekend. I will invoice tomorrow, barring any other disasters happening. I will invoice tomorrow, and then we will hopefully be able to begin a new sale week next week. I will be doing German scrap, the new packages of German scrap. I will be doing them one night this week, as long as I can sell this week. So there's that. And I don't know exactly how many patterns yet. I haven't done it, but I will do an option if you want like one of every sheet, kind of like we did for Italian paper. I'll try to make that an option, one of every sheet. Better not be crooked after all of that. Anyway, if it is, the good thing with Fabri-Tac is usually you can peel fabric to fabric apart with Fabri-Tac. So if you make a mistake with Fabri-Tac, usually you can unpeel it, right? And then you just re-glue it after you're done. But anyway, I will try to make option of one of every sheet. I don't know how many sheets, but there's a lot of sheets of it. There's thousands. I have thousands of sheets of it. So there's a lot of sheets of it. It is all German scrap, like Victorian roses, die cut things. I had that pile of older ones over there. I think I showed it to you. So that's one night next week. I don't know if it'll be the whole night. I think it probably will be because, like I said, there's a million sheets of it. But these thingies, these are old ones. So we have these kind of things next week. I need to put these somewhere so I can use them. But those, yeah, pattern tissue paper for all of us and instruction pages. For what? You remember that too? Imprint on your legs. I don't know what they're talking about. Fishnet stockings. Torture treatment. All right. Um, yeah. So that kind of information probably not really okay to share here. But let's go ahead and move forward. We're gonna assume that we can do live sales. Um, I'm just gonna remove that comment, Rose. I'll chat with you. Um, so we're going to go forward with the plan of having sales next week and invoicing on Saturday tomorrow, and then I'll invoice you guys again on Friday of next week and pack and ship everything as you guys are paying. That's the plan moving forward. Hopefully we're allowed to do that. I have mass Fabri-Tac all over my hands. All right, so there is that. We've got this guy and we've got one other one. We've got this one. This is where we're at with those two. We're starting, right? There needs to be a little bit more layering and embellishing. We can't just have plain rectangles of cardstock up here on the front. So I will deal with some more embellishing. I still need to trim off some excess laces and fabrics. As you saw, pockets still need glued in 2 of them. Ephemera needs stuffed in all 3 of them. So we will continue to work on that. I didn't find anything to put on the cover of this one, and all of my ephemera fell out because I didn't rubber band it. Normally I will rubber band so that things don't flop around. It's a good idea. Plus it starts shaping those covers to the right, the right shape, right? Should have been doing that when I was gluing this on. It would have made it easier. But there's that part. We're getting there ever closer and closer and closer each time, right? Oh my gosh. German scrap is going to be fun because there's finally enough where a lot of people can, get it and not be like, oh, there's only 5 sheets of this one or 4 sheets of this one or whatever the case may be, right? It's okay, Rose. Don't worry about it. You got a lot done? Awesome. I'm happy. Let me flip this camera back around and I will share I think the Facebook group is pinned up there. So if anyone isn't a member of the Facebook group, go ahead and join the Facebook group. It's pinned to the top of the chat box as well as the description box. Let me fix this camera. There we go. So it's Friday. Hopefully you guys get some crafting time in to finish some journals. As you know, I will not be finishing. I might get a moment in here to finish these toppers on these, but I doubt that I will. We'll see how it goes. I wish I could bring, I have the bag packed because, at the hospital, I'm probably going to be waiting there a little while, right? Because it's probably not going to be like a 2-hour birth, right? For first timers, sometimes it takes a long time. So it takes a long time sometimes, no matter how many kids you've had. But anyway, I would like to bring some supplies to the hospital. Maybe I could fit one of these journals into a little crafting bag and bring it and then be able to work in one of these journals, like finishing them off while things are progressing with her. There's going to be a point where there's not a whole lot mom can do, right? But sit there and wait. So anyway, I might be able to get some journal in the craft bag and work on it there. I hope you guys get something done. The challenge I brought up the Facebook group because I wanted to remind you guys about the challenge. The challenge is literally just post a picture of something that you made in the Facebook group. And then every day that you post, you get an entry for a $50 Amazon gift card. That's what I'm giving away in the Facebook group, a $50 Amazon gift card. It's instant delivery, so you guys can just pick out whatever it is that you want. It's a crafting supply you've been looking for, laundry soap, whatever it is that you need from Amazon, you'll get a $50 gift card. And so right now, what are we, like a weekend? So we have a long time before this is over. You all have time to make something and post it. If you've made something even in the past, you can take a picture of that and post it. It doesn't have to be something where you made it that very day, right? Not a lot of people have time to craft every single day. So then there's the group, there's the challenge, there's all of that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sure it will be fine. I'm sure it will be fine. It's just more, it needs to happen. And then she's feeling like, it's 115 degrees. She's 8.5 months pregnant. She's ready for it to happen too. And you know how it gets at towards the end. You're starting to feel a little bit restless. You're uncomfortable, right? So she's feeling it, and it just needs to happen. And then, her mind will settle and she'll be happy. It's just a little bit hard at the end, right? Because it's so miserably hot here. It'll be fine. It'll all be fine. Thank you guys so much for joining for the craft with me. I'm sorry, it has been very relaxed the last couple. I need to get back in the swing of things of just doing 4 videos and, scheduling them out where we do covers, we do signature, we do ephemera. This time I had made so much ephemera for the 365 series. There wasn't a lot of ephemera. There still is some, as you see, but there wasn't a lot of ephemera to make, in the crafting classes. So anyway, that's that. It's kind of sad because it's the last Friday craft with me, but we'll do it on another day. So we'll be moving in. Guessing weight. Oh my gosh. It could be anything because he's a very large baby. So could be anything. It was several weeks ago that they measured him 6'14". So he should be like 8'14" or so, and maybe closer to 9 at this point. We'll see. Soon enough, we'll see. I'll let you guys know. All right. Thanks so much for joining. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys. If nothing else, you'll hear from me again you'll get an invoice tomorrow probably, but if nothing else, you guys will hear from me on Tuesday. One way or another, you guys will hear from me on Tuesday. All right, guys. Bye. Have a great weekend.